Here we are. Welcome to Thursday on the AM show. And you've chosen the very best way to start it with us right here on JoyNews. I am Benjamin Akakpo. As always, I am in the company of Bernice Lansah, and we enjoy your company every morning. Thank you for making the time. Now, this morning, like every other weekday, we're going to serve you the finest, starting with the news, which we'll be serving you shortly. And right after that, the news review. Now, we'll be joined by Dr. Agumenu. Who is he? Well, he is an aspirant in Ketu North. He is contesting on the ticket of the NDC. He is hoping to become that constituency's parliamentary candidate. But from there, we get into the big stories, and we'll be heading or talking about electoral issues, starting with the political parties, the NDC and the NPP. Now, guess what? They are preparing for their primaries, the NDC before the NPP later in the year. But what exactly should delegates be looking out for? What makes a candidate stand out as a front runner? We'll be getting into those all-important issues, and also we'll take another aspect of the conversation, the Electoral Commission. Now, the Electoral Commission, as we all know, is going to organize all of this that we're going to have in 2024, close of 2024. But there are two candidates, two nominees who have recently been sent to the Electoral Commission. I'm talking about Dr. Piahene and Hajia Tijani. Now, these two have come up for discussion because they are known members of the New Patriotic Party, the governing party. And that has raised issues, red flags from the NDC. Now, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers has also joined the fray and is saying, you know what, they should resign with immediate effect because it is not likely that Mr. President will, take them out of that office. And so they should, on their own, resign. But will they? That's the big question. We'll be getting into that with our guests. On the second leg of the conversation, guess what? We're going to be talking to rent control. We're going to be talking about rent issues. Now, there's a new fraudulent scheme in town, and this is how it works. On social media or otherwise, you're going to have people reach out to you, especially if you're looking out for, a new place for accommodation. They are online. You go, you find them, you meet them somewhere. They'll take you to a specific building, and payments will be made, only for you to find out that they had no ownership of the facility, or that they were not agents after all. It's the new scam in town. You don't want to get scammed. We'll be bringing you details about that also on the show. But Easter is around the corner. And you know how it is. Christmas, Easter, we must stay safe on our roads. So this morning is the Neoplan station we're going to be at as we also engage the NRSA, the National Road Safety Authority. Easter travels, yes, but how safe are we going to be? We'll be talking about that on that last leg of the show. My colleague Bernice Lansah will be in one of those transport yards to bring us all the filler, as we say, all the scoop from there. Stay with us in the course of the show. That's what we have lined up for you this morning. Up next, though, the news. Time now for the news, and thank you for staying. Let's talk about the economy in our first story. And President Akufo-Addo says Ghana's debt sustainability profile is in tatters, leaving the balance of payment unreliable. The only savior at this moment, according to him, is a deal with the International Monetary Fund, but that is also in doubt as Ghana is yet to fulfill the conditionalities that have been set. Inducting into office new ministers K.T. Hammond, Brian Achampon, and others, the president said a deal with the fund would set the stage for the recovery of our economy.
Like the rest of the world, the reality of the fact is that our economy is in considerable economic difficulty, following the headwinds that continue to buffet the globe. Our balance of payments and debt sustainability profile have been disrupted and have further exposed the structural weaknesses of our economy. We've gone to the International Monetary Fund to seek its assistance to repair in the short term our public finances and restore our balance of payments, whilst we continue to work on the medium to long-term structural changes that are at the heart of our goal of constructing a resilient, robust Ghanaian economy and building a Ghana beyond aid. Reaching an agreement with the board of the fund, which we hope to do very soon, will set the stage for the strong recovery of Ghana's economy. All of us have a duty to help make sure we get back to the years of high economic growth, which characterized the years before the outbreak of COVID-19 and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. To this end, I want to remind you that the quality of integrity which will permeate your work is extremely important.
Now, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, has taken a swipe at President Akufo-Addo for appointing affiliates of the New Patriotic Party to the Electoral Commission. Dr. Peter Apiahene and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani have come under intense scrutiny, with various researchers suggesting a connection to the ruling party. Kweku Asante now reports on that matter.
Dr. Peter Apiahene and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani appointments as members of the Electoral Commission has generated considerable backlash. CODEO is warning that these appointments have the tendency to make the EC look partisan and affect the credibility of future elections, and have called on the two to resign. Reverend Dr. Fred Degbe read the address on behalf of CODEO.
We are painfully aware that voluntary and constitutionally grounded revocation of these unfortunate and democratically problematic EC appointments by the President is extremely unlikely. However, nothing stops the affected appointees, namely Dr. Peter Apiahene and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, from voluntarily and honorably resigning from membership of the EC. This will be in the supreme interest of our country's continued democratic progress, election peace and credibility, and indeed the overall national interest.
CODEO's research established the political leanings of the two.
Internet searches and other social media exchanges since the announcement on her appointment have revealed additional relevant information about Madam Salima Tijani. She is said to be married to one Sheikh T.B. Damba, a leading member of the NPP, who was formerly the second national vice chairman of the party and served as Ghana's ambassador to Saudi Arabia from 2017 to 2021. Madam Salima Tijani's mother, that's Hajia Samata Gifty Bukari, was the first elected woman, first vice chairperson of the NPP in the northern region. Since the announcement of his appointment as a member of the EC, social media postings have revealed that Dr. Apiahene is an activist of the New Patriotic Party in the Bono region. In one social media comment on January 2021 headed Dr. Apiahene for Bono region, Dr. Apiahene is featured on an NPP labeled flyer as one of the 6 prospects for the position of the Bono regional minister.
CODEO is concerned the public confidence in the EC is already low and that these appointments will further dampen public trust in the commission.
Afrobarometer surveys have recorded declining levels of public trust in the EC. Trust ratings for the EC have shown a steady decline since 2008. In 2004, close to half, that's 48% of Ghanaians, trusted the EC. The EC's trust ratings reduced by 8 points to 40% in 2008. In 2012, this dropped drastically to 27%. The Commission's trust rating continued to trend downward in 2014.
CODEO insists the perceived political affiliation of the EC members matter, despite President Akufo-Addo saying it did not.
Some have tried to downplay the concerns associated with these latest problematic appointments by arguing that the appointees in question cannot change any electoral outcome, or that it is voters that determine election results, not electoral officers in charge of counting or collating results. This is an unfortunate and rather cavalier response to the grave concerns we raise here. If it did not matter who sat on the Electoral Commission, we could put anybody at all on it, and the appointing authority would not need the advice of a Council of State in the appointment process.
Let's turn our gaze to healthcare now, and doctors working in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, say they will picket the Manshia Palace if a directive by the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council to evict them and others occupying bungalows on lands released to the Asantehene is made to stand. The letter, signed by the Regional Coordinating Director on behalf of the Regional Minister, says the land has been released to the occupant of the Golden Stool in trust for the people. My colleague Elton Brobe now reports.
It says, I'm directed by the regional minister to write with reference to this letter, and the reference is quoted here, from the Regional Coordinating Council, an issue to all public institutions relating to the release of portions of land to the Golden Stool under an executive instrument by government in respect of redevelopment of Sector 18 of Kumasi, and also to inform all occupants of government bungalows within the area that the land have eventually been taken over by the Golden Stool. Arrangements are underway to relocate government officials who were allocated the bungalows by the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council on the affected land to new facilities. In this regard, occupants are to hold themselves in readiness to relocate to new facilities that will be assigned to them. Now, occupants are hereby assured that the SI will be undertaken smoothly without any inconvenience, and it will end in July 2023.
Well, I'm sure they've been giving more reasons as to why this action has been taken at this time.
Well, the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council says that they are only giving reference to an executive instrument 432 of 2021 by government in respect of redevelopment of Sector 18 of Kumasi, which was published in the Gazette on 31st of December 2021. And in this Gazette, they says that the land in question, the instrument has vested and released a portion of the state land at the rich residential area in Kumasi to the Asantehene on behalf and in trust for subjects of the Golden Stool. The portion, with an area of 409.24 acres, span from the northwestern section of the military barracks near Konfanoti Teaching Hospital. The site is along the Bekwai Road, Acid Western boundary to Santas Runabout, with the southern bypass at the southern boundary. The land also lies towards Dakojum to the State Experimental School along the Denyame stream to the north, with the Cedar Road as the eastern boundary, and makes reference to private individuals who are also on this land and what will come of them, and they'll be asked to renegotiate their lease agreement with the Golden Stool.
Well, on that same beat, the chairman of the Ashanti Regional Branch of the Medical Association, Dr. Pakwesi Beidu, says this move actually will make their work very difficult.
And accommodations are situated around hospitals and facilities for a reason. It means they want you to respond within a reasonable amount of time when there are emergencies. And so those who developed these buildings didn't do it out of vacuum. They thought through it before they did that. So it's not about compensation. And mind you, most of you come to the Nyame, you see that they are building all over. Within 6 months, buildings are ringing out. Right now, who are the owners of these buildings? I can tell you, it's the politicians. They want this land for whatever interest they have in it. I don't know. But then, if you have no respect for the country, you should respect your professionals. Because as doctors, we don't want to go on strike, and we are not going to do that out of respect for Otunfo. But if they still want to persist, the regional minister, because he's saying he has the power to persist, effective next month, we'll start picketing at the Regional Coordinating Council led by the Ashanti Regional GMA. If that doesn't work, from May or June, we'll be picketing at Manshia until our petition is heard.
Let's talk power theft now. And a 54-year-old electrician has been arrested by the Revenue Protection Task Force of the Electricity Company of Ghana for installing illegal meters and extorting money from customers. John Fofio was arrested in his hideout at Kunsu in the Ahafuano Southwestern district of the Ashanti region. Now, police retrieved 8 fake electricity meters embossed with ECG logos during a search in his house. Ohemeng Tewia of our security desk has more in the following report.
The ECG Revenue Protection Task Force has been ruthless with customers who owe the power company in electricity bills and engaged in illegal connections. Out of the 5.7 billion Ghana cedis owed by electricity consumers nationwide, the Ashanti region accounts for 1.2 billion Ghana cedis, representing 21% of debt owed. The task force, whilst on operation, detected some fake meters installed by the suspect at Kunsu and its environs. Owners alleged John Fofi supplied the meters. Further investigations led to the arrest of the suspect in his hideout, where the police retrieved 8 fake meters. Engineer Kofi Danso is the Ashanti Regional Revenue Protection Manager.
A team from the Ashanti SBU headquarters that went to Kunsu in line with the revenue mobilization exercise. Then we chanced upon a customer who has abandoned the official ECG recognized meter and have installed these unauthorized or fake meters because there's debt in the original ECG meter. We intended to arrest him directly, but then he led us to the corporate who came to install the meter for him. So yesterday the corporate was arrested, sent to the Buakwa police station, and then we went with the corporate to his house, and we found additional meters together with our moratorium. If you all remember, ECGMD gave a moratorium that all people who have this unauthorized or meters that are unknown to ECG come forward, then let ECG help you regularize it. That exercise expired in December. Unfortunately, unscrupulous people have made duplicates of our moratorium notice, and they keep installing these fake meters for customers, and then when they install it, they give you that moratorium indicating that as if it's ECG who has authorized them to do that.
According to Engineer Danso, the task force will leave no stone unturned in its quest to block all revenue leakages, including dealing with illegal connections and fake meters. At least 15 million Ghana cedis has been retrieved from customers who owe ECG in the Ashanti region. But how widespread is the issue of fake ECG meters in the region? Engineer Danso again.
This is affecting us seriously. It is all over the place. A lot of the customers who owe us, they abandon our meter and they go for these fake meters so that they never pay. I have a lot of cases. They charge between the 1,000 and as much as 2,500. And they install this. At Risk Coast alone, if I'm not mistaken, more than 50 customers were using these illegal meters. So we have disconnected them, we have summoned them.
From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Oimeteria reporting.
Now, in our final story, Member of Parliament for South Dine, Roxton Nelson Dafiamekpo, is working to increase the number of educated constituents in his constituency. He has set up a scholarship scheme to cater for the cost of their tertiary education and alleviate their plight. Fred Kwame Asare has more from a ceremony in Peve to disburse funds to qualified members.
Mr. Dafiamekpo explained that after investing in infrastructure at basic and second cycle levels, he needed to cushion qualified students to further their education at the tertiary level. This, he said, compelled him to give scholarship to some constituents to contribute to build the human capacity of the South Dine district.
I have to be thoughtful in how I apply my statutory funds. So when people say that they want additional classroom block, I say yes, you want additional classroom block. But when the people leave the GSS, when they complete PESCO, when they complete PESTEC, when they complete Peve Senior High, when they complete Tongo Senior High, they are unable to proceed. Meanwhile, the funds that has come is limited. So allow me to assist them. So that if you give me a bill of say 30,000, 3,000 or 4,000, I pay 2,000. I expect your parents to also assist you. These days, the schools are benevolent enough to say that pay a certain percentage and come in. So you take steps and pay the rest for the academic year. And that is what I've been doing. Recently, I raised the issue that even admission form, the cost of admissions form is something that the schools must waive. You only pay it when you are admitted. If I'm applying, why do you charge me? If you don't admit me, why do you take my money? Yes, it's something I'm raising on the floor seriously. And they are making millions out of the cost of admission forms.
He entreated the beneficiaries to make good use of the money and come back to help develop the constituency.
Hitherto, I wasn't doing it, but I think going forward, I should let you understand the importance of assisting you in terms of tuition, so you don't take certain things for granted. I want you to go out, do well, become lawyers, become judges, become big engineers, become big teachers, professors, and write books on the district. You people are not writing on the district. Write academic work on the district. Let the district feature in academic works, so that when somebody is referencing, you can see that there's an academic write-up on the biography or on the profile of the district, so that we can be referenced. So tomorrow when I leave where I'm standing, one of you can be here as the MP, also advocating and helping people who are now toddlers. By tomorrow they'll get to your age.
The beneficiaries appreciated the support from the MP, with one of them presenting a canvas photo of him to show her gratitude. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Beve.
The news is done and dusted, but you know the news review is up next. Stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to get into the newspapers, and I'll be introducing my guest shortly. But before that, as always, this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they are offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. You can locate them in different parts of the country. Let's start from right here in Accra. Locate them at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronum Abwehia behind the Angel Community Complex. There's also Community 22 in Tema. In Takrade, it is Anaji Estate. Then they are in Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zama. The call lines, both of them, are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Now, this morning, we have an aspirant, someone who is hoping to represent the National Democratic Congress in the Ketu North constituency. He's in the person of Dr. Donald Senanu Agumenu. He is our guest for the morning. What a shade of white as far as your background is concerned. Doc, a very good morning to you.
Very good morning. You're doing well.
Right. I don't know whether it's the internet connection or the positioning, but it's a bit blurry this morning. But at least I can make you out. Thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, it's actually because of the internet connectivity. I'm actually within the borders of Togo and Ghana. And, there's a bit of interaction in network.
I see. So you find yourself, I've been in that area, so I know what it's like. But I usually do this together with those I host on the show, whether for this segment or the big stories. I'd like to find out from you, why do you even want to do this? Even before we get into the papers, why do you want to represent Ketu North? What is it about you that makes you interested in going into politics, first of all, and in becoming the representative of the people of Ketu North? Share a few, words with us.
Yeah, first of all, we need to understand that politics is meant for development, and politics should be used as a strategy tool to develop our people.
Right.
And for me, as someone who believes in leadership, and believes in building capacity for humanity and uplifting the best in nature. This opportunity, I believe, is what we could use to bring the best to our people. I actually build this on the principle, I believe, that building upon the existing legacy. You would agree with me that Ketunov so far had two MPs, starting from Honorable Modesto Sahiabla to Honorable Abeji. And this is going to be the third time for us to have a parliamentary or parliamentarian in the Fourth Republic.
Right.
And for me, I believe that what they've done so far is good, but we can build upon that. And when you take the experiences that I've had throughout my career, and also the opportunities within Ketunov, I believe that this is the time for us to uplift the game and build upon that legacy, and build the necessary infrastructure that we need, because Ketunov is strategically located within the corridors of the ECOWAS sub-region. And that is a good opportunity for us to create more jobs, to give hope to the youth and also the women at large.
Right. So you want to take over from there. What are some of the good things that you feel they've done? You mentioned that they had done something and you were hoping to build on that foundation and do more. What are some of the good things you've seen done that you would like to continue? And what are some of the needs of your constituency that have not been addressed? I mean, you go across the length and breadth of the country. Oftentimes you will find schools without, schools under trees, schools without the necessary facilities, desks and all of that. Sometimes it would be water problems. The people don't have potable water. Sometimes it is roads and so many infrastructural challenges. What are the core challenges of people in Ketu North?
Yeah, so far so good. You would see that Ketu North demographically would account for more than 100,000. And the youth population is very large. The level of education is appreciable. But we need to equally look at how can we look at technical education, vocational education, creating jobs for the people. And in terms of water scarcity, I can say that our two MPs, or former MP, Honorable Modesto Sahiabla to Honorable Abeji, they've done well in the area of water provision.
Right.
But there are still areas that we can fit in. And for me, as an advocate for water security, provision of potable water, one of my core aims is to making sure that no community will be left in Ketu North without water. When it comes to women, Ketu North is still an agrarian community. You look at the rice production, you look at cassava, you look at maize and all that. How can we add value to that so that we would be a breadbasket in Ghana? And how can we equally export some of those produce? Within the aquatic component, you will see that we have the enabling environment to build upon agribusiness. And I believe tapping into those things would help us create the needed job for our people to alleviate poverty.
Interesting thoughts you've shared. Now, even as I get into the papers, there's a very important issue that I'm going to be bringing to you as well. The Daily Graphic this morning says CSOs call on 2 Electoral Commission appointees to resign. And I'm talking about Codeo, among others. The NDC has also spoken on this matter. I'll be getting in some details from there. Decisions of Supreme Court critical for national development. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. And then Easter celebrations, love, forgiveness, honesty must reign supreme. Church leaders to Ghanaians pictured there. Right Reverend Dr. Hilliard Dogbe, presiding bishop of the West Africa Episcopal District of the AME Zion Church. Reverend Dr. Godwin Ninoy Odonko, Clark, General Assembly, Presbyterian Church of Ghana. Apostle Eric Nyamiche, Chairman, Church of Pentecost. Reverend Dr. Francis Say, the General Overseer of the Foursquare Gospel Church, and Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kebwafo, Presiding Bishop, Methodist Church, Ghana. On the back page, GREL, that is the Ghana Rubber Estate Limited, pays 1.35 million Ghana cedis bonus to 790 rubber farmers. Talk about incentivization. How much more can we do for our cocoa producing farmers? And Ghana Water Company Limited starts exercise to recoup 800 million Ghana cedi arrears. Well, let's start with that story. There's also, this one, a very important one. I nearly missed it. Rote learning, Baba, Uji Baba, chew, pour, pass, forget. Rote learning not helpful. That's according to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. I'll get into that story. But 6 church leaders have called on Ghanaians to hold high the virtues of love, forgiveness, tolerance, honesty, and hard work as Christians celebrate this year's Easter. In addition, they must eschew negative behavior and build on the peace that the country is enjoying, since the message of virtue, that is peace, is associated with Easter, the remembrance of the death of Jesus Christ. The religious leaders who made the call, including the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Ghana, it lists those I've already mentioned. The clergymen also called on the security services to put peace first in the execution of their duties, while political parties must also hold strong the tenets of peace as they go to their primaries. So that is the message there from the different churches. But let me get to those 2 other stories, or maybe let me do one more so you can give a reaction, and then we'll look at 2 more. So we'll turn to page 16 now, Doc. CSOs call on 2 EC appointees to resign, and 3 civil society organizations have called for the resignation of 2 of the 3 persons recently appointed by the president to the Electoral Commission as a result of their perceived affiliation to the governing New Patriotic Party. They said the 2 persons, Dr. Peter Apiahene and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, must do the honorable thing by immediately resigning from the EC in order to repose trust in the commission and ensure its credibility and the organization of elections in the country. The CSOs, which made the call at a press conference in Accra yesterday, are the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, that is CODEO, the Star Ghana Foundation, and the Civic Forum Initiative. Speaking on behalf of the CSOs, a member of the advisory board of CODEO, Reverend Dr. Fred Degbe, said, quote, "It is our considered and strongly held view and position that the appointment to the independent and non-partisan EC of persons who are known partisans or who have a partisan cloud over their heads is inconsistent with the spirit of the Constitution. Moreover, he said, such appointments risked undermining cross-party and public trust and confidence in the EC, and thus posed a danger to the country's evolving democracy." What do you make of these 2? Love, forgiveness, honesty must reign supreme during Easter. That is our church leaders and their call to Ghanaians, but especially on the bit about the CSOs and the charge to those 2 appointed to the Electoral Commission. I'll just end with the fact that whoever is appointed to the Electoral Commission, like politics, study of politics will tell you, we're all political animals. Doesn't matter if they are affiliated to one party.
Yeah, first of all, we need to appreciate that the Electoral Commission serves as the fulcrum for building peace and security in our country. When you look at the tensions that is actually evolving from democracies across Africa, even in developed countries, you come to believe that the Electoral Commission plays a central role in sustaining our democracy. So coming to who takes responsibility, who plays a major role in leadership, who is the chair, is something we need to look at. In terms of affiliation, we need to put conscience above some of the things that we look at. For me, what the COS are saying is something we have to look at again, because how can we protect the integrity of our electoral process? Look at the recent elections in Nigeria. Look at what is happening across the globe. Even American democracy, it got to a stage, you will see what happened between Biden and Donald Trump. That should tell you that the electoral process must be protected, and everything that we have to do in our capacity to build the integrity of the process and to actually respect the will of the people is supreme. So for me, the call is genuine. The nation must look into that again. The president must look into it again for us to see exactly what must we do as a people that believe in entrenching our democratic principles so that the verdict of the people, the voice of the grassroots, the voice of the masses would be respected through the process.
Interesting thoughts there. For those of you watching us online, our apologies for the delay, but we just got online, so you can catch us there. So that is the situation. Let's go to some other stories now. And there is rote learning not helpful. That's according to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. Let's get to that page 20. And the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Apia Amfo, says students must be challenged to focus on critical thinking and analytical skills since rote learning has not been helpful. Moreover, she said there was the need to create avenues for students to explore their creative sides, music, and dance. Quoting her, she says, "We should be less focused on assessing students based on memory and more on application. For that to happen, we need to focus on teacher training, incentivize our brightest students to go into teaching, and keep small class sizes to allow for more interaction," she stated. And that's interesting. It's interesting she makes that point. I remember being back in school, political science class. Least mistake. I think there were two, groups, A and B. If you made a little mistake, you would have to be outside of the class. You would have an overflow of students. And imagine the University of Ghana with all its facilities. I don't know about now, but many years ago, that was the situation. And how we'll deal with that, especially with all these constraints, only God knows. But she said this at a new series known as the Don's Conclave, when she shared her prescriptions for world-class education on the Springboard, the virtual university, during a conversation with motivational speaker and executive pastor at the International Central Gospel Church, Reverend Albert Okran. Anyway, so that is that story. Let me go also to page 24. There about some interesting stories I'd like to look at. The first one, anti-witchcraft bill to undergo pre-stakeholders engagement. And a pre-stakeholder engagement on an anti-witchcraft bill has begun in Accra as part of efforts to build support for the passage of the bill by Parliament. When passed into law, it will criminalize witchcraft accusations and related offences in the country. The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, said this at a regional roundtable on inclusive journalism for senior media professionals and editors in Accra yesterday. It was on the theme, Media Response to Conflict, Migration and Minority Rights, Perspectives on Community Livelihood. I bring this up because we know, if you go to the northern belt of the country, especially places like Kukwom, among others, we have the ignominious title of, having witch camps, Gambaga, among other places, because guess what? People are hounded once you attain a certain age. And it becomes problematic because in law, we deal with facts. Now, how do you go to a court and establish that someone is a witch? Where is the evidence? So spiritually, you can't adduce evidence in court. And that is where it becomes problematic. And some people, for whatever reasons, point to people and say, oh, this person is this or that person is that. And it flouts human rights. Even if supposedly these people wear that, they still have rights. So I am very excited about this. I was following on the decriminalization of suicide. That has been achieved. Up next, this one. And I'm looking forward to it. The final story I'll do from the Daily Graphic, so you react, Doc. Perspectives of Supreme Court judges on issues brought before them are critical for national development, especially in these challenging times, President Akufo-Addo has said. He said it was for this reason that Article 129 of the 1992 Constitution positioned the Apex Court as a policy court where far-reaching decisions on the nation's social and economic development were taken to respond to the exigencies of the time. The president, therefore, admonished justices of the Supreme Court to be learned, know their case law, and also ensure that decisions and judgments were properly motivated, stressing, quote, "It is in this manner that judges contribute to the orderly development of the nation." And he said this when he swore in 2 justices to the Supreme Court at the Jubilee House in Accra last Tuesday. So, justices of the court and what is expected of them, the anti-witchcraft bill, and rote learning, Baba, as we call it. Any quick thoughts on these matters? Hello, Doc.
Yeah, Chief, thank you. Yes, it's very true. Actually, we cannot debase the supremacy of the Supreme Court. For me, we shouldn't expect less. That court is actually the creme de la creme, the apex of our legal society. So as a country, the only way we can grow, the only way we can build peace and security, the only way that we can build investor confidence is making sure that the justices at the Supreme Court move above certain internal issues, exhibit exceptional leadership, leave a mark of excellence and integrity. Within our society, from time to time, you begin to feel some level of disagreement with decisions and decision-making processes. However, it is very important for us to equally look at how can we purge ourselves as a society and even as institutions. How can we strengthen the values that brought about our laws? How can we entrench the wisdom within the laws? And if we can do that, I am very confident that the Supreme Court, as an example to the international community, we can do better. Right from independence to modern democracy, we can see the trajectories. And because of time, we may not have to go deep into other issues within our legal framework. But what is important is for us to see how can we believe in a judicial system that has a top-notch integrity, a system that will be very fair, a system that will be very equitable, a system that will be apolitical. And if we can do that, I believe there wouldn't be any form of disagreement, there wouldn't be any form of chaos, and at times people go as far as debating issues to the extent of even trying to, for want of a better word, disagree with some of the positions of our judges. So for me, what is key is let's respect the law, let our conscience of integrity, the values within the law, and understanding our social framework. What makes us as Ghanaians? What is right? What is upright? And how can we perpetuate that into our society? And if we can do that, I believe a multi-party nation like Ghana, we wouldn't have any problem from political parties arguing the positions of the Supreme Court and other courts. You know, very soon we'll be going into general election, and the Supreme Court is there for us, not necessarily for us to go into the kind of petitions that we normally do, but issues may arise, disagreements may arise, and we just want to see a court that will be there for every Ghanaian, a court that will be there for every institution, a court that will be there for you and I, so that we'll believe that truly we are Ghanaians and the courts are for us. So I respect that position, and for me, I want us to democratize that. Let us have a feel of that the more.
Interesting the way you put it, but you do know that, especially with the Apex Court, with its jurisdiction, its powers, it will not be able to please everybody all the time. And sometimes in interpreting the law, it will step on some toes, but I guess it is what it is. Sometimes the reasoning, legal reasoning, and the reasoning on the streets do not necessarily converge. Sometimes there's a conflation.
Agree.
But of course, there are other times too when clearly you can see that the public feeling is inching in a certain direction, yet the courts disagree. It has been brought to the fore how sometimes you can have one issue and different interpretations from different judges. Even if you look at the verdicts or the rulings, the judgments of these courts, and if there is dissent at a point, if there's an obiter, you would realize that sometimes it gives you different perspectives about the law. But that's why we always have odd numbers on these rulings. And we hope that, yes, by and large, their rulings will reflect the will of the people, according to the law, of course.
Is what is supreme, yeah.
Let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper now. And I forgot to mention, there's a special supplement on Easter. It talks about Easter, Kwewu, Easter, among others, in the Daily Graphic. You should grab, if you're watching us this morning, you should grab a copy of the Daily Graphic newspaper. On to the Daily Guide now. Galamsey man owns 86-bedroom hotel. Now the story gets even more interesting. Kwame Ato Asare, pictured there. Okay. So now, I guess we're establishing that he's into Galamsey, but is he? Is he a Galamseyer or is he something else? We'll be finding out, but we'll go to page 6 of the paper for that. 2024 presidential race. It's possible, says Bawumia. Supreme Court decides Burger MP's fate May 17. Nana swears in new justices and ministers, and $300 million arbitration against Ghana in limbo. Just this one about the vice president, though. Let me start from there. And Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, that's on page 3, continues to move closer to running for president in 2024, implying with a flyer featuring the flags of Ghana and his party, the New Patriotic Party, that, quote, it is possible. The vice president electrified social media yesterday when he dropped strong hints about his desire to run for the MPP's flag bearership, with an official declaration anticipated soon. Now, the cryptogram posted on his Facebook wall appears to be Dr. Bawumia's most significant public hint that he intends to compete for the MPP nomination and later for president of Ghana. The hint comes just 24 hours after the MPP announced a timetable for the party's upcoming presidential and parliamentary primaries. Those who took the lead, Dr. Alan Tremanting, Kojo Alan Tremanting, Dr. Efria Koto, among others, they have already hit the ground running, and it appears he will now be joining the fray. But something that I find interesting, though, this morning on JoyNews, you can find it there. It's a bit of a reminder, if you go back to what the vice president said then, that they would move us from taxation to production. That video is still relevant. And on JoyNews this morning, it's been posted. You can check it out. I guess a reminder for the vice president as well. Have we moved to production now? Big question. Galamsey man owns 86-bedroom hotel. That story is on page 6. Let's get into that. We can't get enough of it, can we? So the alleged prime suspect in the Axim Galamsey drama seemed to have made a lot of money from the alleged duties he claimed the police in Axim entrusted to him. Kwame Ato Asare Eni has claimed that because he knows all illegal mining or Galamsey sites in the area, the police engaged him to periodically lead them to Galamsey sites to extort money from the illegal miners. The alleged prime suspect, who resides at Dra Kweku Krom in the Zama East municipality of the Western region, claims that apart from his 2-story residential building, he is also building an 86-bedroom hotel in the municipality. The purported suspect disclosed this in various interviews he granted. Meanwhile, it has emerged that Kwame Ato Asare once ordered the closure of some schools in the farming community over a missing mobile phone. It tells you just how powerful this person is. At a point in time, he ordered the closure of some schools in the farming community over a missing mobile phone. In street language, we would say, he bust my brain. Wow. What is your reaction to the story? So the vice president wanting to, showing signs of gearing up, lacing his boots to contest in the MPP flag bearership contest. And this one about this alleged galamsey in Axim.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. I want to use this opportunity once again to congratulate all the potential candidates for the MPP. But whether he will win or not is what I'm not sure of. But what I'm sure of is the NDC will lead at the end of the day. So I wish him well, and I wish other contestants well. In regards to the galamsey issue, you will see that this issue is becoming not only a national security issue, but moving into an international relation issue as well. Because you could see the China situation, how Aisha Wan managed to situate herself within the galamsey cartel, and how some level of investment went in there, and how some other Ghanaians became empowered with that. But the question is, can we do some broader stakeholder analysis to ascertain the people under this very powerful business people within the galamsey industry? Because it's as if we keep talking about the galamsey situation and powerful people keep emerging locally and internationally. And the gold trade across the globe, it's a big issue. And each and every day, people keep registering new businesses within the micro mining sector up to any level that you think of. So for me, I'm not surprised to see that level of, business exposure or revenue from the galamsey sector. It just tells you that the gold sector is big, and if we can regulate it properly and maximize our gains, and also look at an industrial revolution within the mining sector, where we can add value to our gold instead of just degrading the environment and exporting it raw, I think we can create more jobs. Go to Dubai and see what they are doing. They import from these people and they add value to it. You buy beautiful jewelries and all that at a higher cost. So in terms of economy, they are depleting the economy. Individuals make money, then they deplete the economy, deplete the environment. The communities get poorer. They cannot have water to drink. If you go and do a public health assessment, you will see that the level of cancerous situations within those houses will be very high. And how can we prevent that? What are the creative measures for us to mitigate some of this development? So for me, the earlier we moved into this thing with a serious, level of security attention, the better. So far, the approach is not too bad, but I don't think we are really yielding the result that we should be taking, because it's as if we're in a combat moment. You see police officers, you see soldiers going in at times as if it's a battlefield. But policy-wise, what are we doing to mitigate that? Is there a political will for us to stop the galamsey? If there's no political will, the rest will just be grammar. And at the end of the day, you keep seeing galamsey people emerging each and every day. And we need to do some soul searching within the political circles to see that who are the people behind all this. And also respectfully, when we move into our traditional setting, I'm asking you this moment to commend His Royal Majesty Otunfor for his continuous work in trying to mitigate this very thing. But within the larger domain, can we have a stakeholder forum where traditional leaders, players within the mining sector, the stakeholders within the government machinery will look at certain critical things without attaching politics to it?
Right.
If he can do that, I believe that right from the licensing stages to buying of equipment, we should be able, with the help of technology, to achieve some higher heights in this very sector.
Dr. Agumenu, we're grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. I'll just wrap with these headlines. We'll not take responses to them, but Supreme Court decides Boga MP's fate May 17. I'm talking about Member of Parliament for Asin North. He's been barred from holding himself out as that, James Jachik Quayson. And there's also on page 8 of the Daily Guide, Nigel Gazy runs to court over sex allegation. Nana Romeo, who works with Accra 100.5 FM, making that allegation, which had been made before by the likes of Ifya Schwarzenegger and others. Anyway, you can check out the entertainment page of the Daily Guide newspaper for that. But Doc, we're grateful that you took the time to join us, and we wish you the very best as you aspire to lead Ketu North, that constituency, for the NDC. We wish you the very best. All right, and that is Dr. Donald Agumenu. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, once more, helping us bring you this segment, and they're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, in Kumasi, Kronum Abuehia behind the Angel Educational Complex, in Techiman, Hanswa in Tema Community 22, in Takrade Anaji Estate, and Esiama in Zama. You can also reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Now, yesterday, it was a thrashing of, well, Barcelona. Yes, they succumbed to Real Madrid, and it was a thumping. You remember that in the other El Clasico match some weeks back, they won against Real Madrid, I think pipping them by a 1-0. But this time, Madrid ensured that they showed them where power lay. That and more coming your way in sports up next.
Good morning, it's time for sports. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, the recent defeats to Isaac Dogbe and Richard Kome means Ghana is now without a world title in 4 years. Well, there seems to be another Ghanaian boxer who is up for it and could be a world champion. His name is Sena Adbeko. Well, my colleague in the US, Nathaniel Atto, has the rest of the story.
Well, this is a very good and great opportunity for Sena Adbeko, and I say this very simply because this is a boxer who has emerged from Ghana. I mean, he had a 15-bout winning streak, after which he had his first loss in the United States of America, on his US debut. And since then, he's been able to, travel a certain journey. Now, as we speak, he becomes, the second boxer in the space of a month to get the opportunity to fight for a world title against a certain Dave Morrell, who also has a very interesting story to tell. Now, Sena Adbeko is a trained journalist. He was introduced to me by Ambassador Ray Kwaku, who previously served as the president of the Ghana Boxing Federation, which was then known as the Ghana Amateur Boxing Association. He started his career, under Coach Colley at the Bridge Boxing Gym in Roman Ridge, which was established by Ambassador Ray Kwaku. After that, we saw him start off his professional career. Before his professional career, he got the opportunity to fight at the Youth Olympics, not the Youth Olympics, but the Amateur, World Championships, the Junior World Championships put together by IBA in 2010 by, in Azerbaijan. So he's not had much of a prolonged amateur career. When he got into the professional ranks, he showed a certain level of quality. Now, this is going to be a very big test in the sense that this obviously will be the biggest day of his career, because if he's able to win this, bingo, is a great thing, because Ghana has been knocking on the doors of a major world title for a while now. The fact that he's going up against yet another Cuban, considering that Isaac Dogbe lost to a Cuban boxer, is another challenge that he has to overcome, in the sense that at 8 fights, Morel, his opponent, is going for his 4th title defense. By his 5th bout, he had won the WBA Super Middleweight Championship, and he's going for his 4th title defense. That just tells us that the southpaw boxer has a lot to offer on the day when he stages his 4th defense of this title to, Akakpo. So this is another similar situation to Isaac Dogbe's situation, because this is an orthodox boxer in Akakpo going up against, a southpaw. And he has had some very good tests over the period. And I'm just hoping that he can rely on those to overcome it. This bout in Las Vegas sure is going to be one very big one, especially when you're looking at the Ghanaian side of things.
From boxing to football, and in the Ghana Premier League, the Kumasi derby between Asante Kotoko and King Faisal ended goalless. Now, both coaches have been speaking about the outcome of the result. We don't really know the extent of the injury, but he was substituted in the 60th minute mark. Ajax won that particular game by 2-1, and they'll be facing PSV in the final of the Dutch Cup. Kudus is enjoying his most prolific season, scoring 18 goals in 38 matches for Ajax so far. That's how we wrap up.
Well, let's get into the conversation. As you can see right behind me, we're talking about our political parties and what they are doing in the coming months. They are gearing up for their political party primaries. And we want to discuss what the modalities are, what the specific dates are, which we already know, and what delegates should be looking forward to come those events. We'll be also looking at those who have been sent to the Electoral Commission in recent times. I am talking about the two, Dr. Piahene, together with Hajia Tijani. Now, the NDC has not been particularly happy with those two who have been nominated, who have now become members of the Electoral Commission, so to speak, because those two out of the three are seen to have political affiliations to the New Patriotic Party. Codeo, together with other CSOs, have also gone hard on that matter. Well, we get into these discussions first off with Professor Ransford Jampo, political scientist at the University of Ghana. He hasn't joined us yet, but he will. And we also have Dr. John Osai Kwapong, a CDD fellow. He is here with us and joins us for that conversation. Dr. Kwapong, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Benjamin. How are you?
I'm very well. Where have you been hiding? It's been quite a while.
In plain sight.
Hiding in plain sight. Okay, so it means my bad. I have not been looking for you. I have not been looking for you. Well, but it's good to know, good to see you smiling, and I suppose everything is going well.
Yes, everything is well. Thank you.
Now, from where you sit, on the back of what you do, when you look at how things are shaping out or shaping up for our political parties, the NDC and the MPP, the NDC came out with its timelines for the primaries. It's already started, from the grassroots levels. And now the MPP has also come out with its November 4 date for the presidential primaries. What do you make of it now that we have a clear pattern that we're going to follow? What does this mean in our political system for you?
Well, good morning. It goes to show you that 2023 is going to be an extremely busy year. That between now and the end of this year, our political parties, all the aspirants, their supporters, etc., would be engaged in quite a lot of activities as the months roll by. It will be interesting to see. Well, Then again, I think that with the NDC flag bearership race, I've said this before and I'll say this again, that I think former President John Mahama is the presumptive nominee. I actually don't see anybody toppling him. But all of that will become very official once their primaries are over. One of the things that I would be looking for is once he becomes, assuming that my assumption plays out, once he becomes the official flag bearer of the party, I'll be interested to see how that shapes the MPP race, right? In terms of, would we start seeing conversations about which of the MPP aspirants will be best positioned to, quote unquote, defeat him or give him a run for his money come 2024. So that will be one of the key things that I'll be looking at as the MPP race heats up, and whether there'll be a lot of references to who the NDC has selected as their flag bearer for the presidential race. I also think that because of what we've seen in this 8th Parliament with the closeness in the numbers, it will be very interesting to see how that impacts the parliamentary primaries in terms of who the vetting process, who is being vetted, who is being cleared. Because I think that one of the things that the two parties would definitely be keeping an eye out for in 2024 is not just winning parliament, but at least winning it by a comfortable enough majority, even if it's a 10-seat majority, because I don't think any of our parties would want to go through what they've experienced with this 8th Parliament. So it'll be very interesting to see how the vetting process goes by, what sort of protections are offered or not offered to incumbents, non-incumbents, orphan constituencies, all of those dynamics. We would also have to watch out to see who would decide to go independent if they are not vetted and cleared to contest, and what would that mean? Because again, if you're going to if a potential candidate decides to go independent, what happens to that constituency? Does it split the party's vote and therefore give advantage to their political opponent? So these are some of the things that I would be looking for over the next several months as both parties gear up for their party primaries.
Now, is that to say that as far as the NDC is concerned, what do you think about their timelines, this time that they've chosen within the next few months, around May, for their own processes as far as the primaries are concerned? Do you think it is apt? Is it a bit too late? I know they are all, walking the tightrope as far as what their respective party constitutions say, and also getting things done early so that they can put forward their candidates on both the parliamentary and the presidential level. Do you feel that they are doing things early enough, or should they have started even before now?
I think the timing is right, in the sense that you don't want to do it too early, but you also don't want to do it too late. I think that a too early primary with candidates selected drags out the entire political season, right? So imagine if you have your candidates selected, say, January 2023, and elections are not until December 2024. Candidates can get wary, and so can voters get wary. So you want to make sure that there's, quote unquote, enough time to be able to market the candidates, to also get them fully engaged, that there's enough resources to also stretch over the campaign season. And I think that you want to avoid voter fatigue in terms of every day, every morning, every afternoon, candidates here, there, things like that. So I think that the timing is just about right. I mean, we are talking May. That still makes it 7 months or was it maybe about 6 months for the rest of the year, plus almost another 11 months. So we're talking 17 months of political campaigning, which I think it's good enough time for both the party and the candidates. But you actually don't, I believe that you don't want to stretch out the campaign season far too long, because it can get tiring and because it can have that sort of fatiguing effect on voters. And then sometimes, depending on when voters make up their mind, the extra months spent campaigning actually gives you nothing, quote unquote, in terms of trying to change minds or securing votes, or makes no difference. For the first time, I think that was in 2016, Professor Usu Mensah from the Department of Political Science, Legon, in his pre-election survey, he did ask the question, how long ago did you make up your mind in terms of who you want to vote for? And when he released his results I think it was in September, October, majority of the respondents said they decided who they were going to vote for 6 months ago, right? Which means that if you run a much longer timeline in terms of your campaign, towards the end, the marginal utility effect is not much, because a lot of people are locked in very early, and it's only a few people who are up for grabs towards the end of the campaign season.
So interesting, demographics that you actually paint there. But so looking at the NDC and the NPP, you think the timing is right. But let's get to the candidates. You've already made mention of the fact that for the NDC, you feel maybe de facto is going to be former President Mahama. But in the NPP, yesterday we saw on social media some posts by the Vice President that suggest that he is lacing his boots to contest for the flag bearership. We all know that some of the major contenders include Dr. Alache Mateng, Dr. Baumia, and Ifriya Koto, among others, other popular names, Kennedy Ejapong, among others. But with the sort of wait and see that we're noticing, the former trade minister has already started his campaign. The former agric minister has already started his campaign. One of the front runners, the vice president, of course, his situation is a bit tricky. On the one end, he benefits from still being in government and being a face within the party. On the other end, he is not actively campaigning because he is not, launched out yet. Where do you think that leaves him? Is he getting left behind as far as the race is concerned?
I don't think he's getting left behind. As you described it accurately, he's in a bit of a sort of a tricky situation, right? He can't stick his neck out too early, but at the same time, he gets the benefit of he's in government, he's the sitting vice president, and therefore he still gets the publicity. I think sometime last week there was an event at the Nat Hall called I think it was
yes, those supporters of Baumia, I recall
precisely. So in as much as he's been quiet in the background, just going about his work as vice president, there are others who have been championing his cause and fueling, talk about his run and, getting people fully aware of the fact that, he's going to be a candidate for the flag bearership race. They probably know something that we don't know officially yet. So I don't think he's in a disadvantaged position, because even though he's not speaking, at least he has quite a number of other people who are doing the groundwork and speaking for him. But I think we've gotten the hint from the post he made the other day with the two flags, one of the NPP, the other one, the Ghana flag, and just wrote it as possible. And what, for me, confirmed that it was a subtle sign that something, is going to come somewhere down along the line officially, was the fact that immediately, at least a lot of my MPP friends picked it up. So if you looked at their WhatsApp status, if you looked at their social media pages, they all shared it with the whole "it is possible" slogan. So I don't think he is in a disadvantaged position in relation to the others who are already officially campaigning, or at least have made it clear that they are interested in the flag bearership of the MPP.
Well, interesting times. Let me also bring in Professor Ransford Jampo. He is a political scientist and he is with the University of Ghana. Prof, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Morning.
Are you still in your holy village, or are you back with us?
Well, I am in Ghana's political mecca, Saltpond, where it all began.
I see. Okay. So I know we're going to be talking about the Codeo charge and the CSOs and what they've been saying about those political appointees. But I'd be grateful if I could get your quick reaction to the two major political parties, NDC and NPP, and how their primaries are shaping up. When you look through your crystal ball or look at it, what do you see? Is the timing apt for them? The NDC sometime around May thereabouts, and the NPP on November 4th, at least for the presidential. What do you see? What is your reading?
Well, NDC, if it is May, it is good for them because it is better to be clear so that it can hit the ground running in terms of your campaigning and putting measures and arrangements in place just to help you achieve your ultimate ambition of power. And so for me, it is good for them. And NPP, I don't know why they have delayed even up till now. Several meetings were held by the echelons of the party, and these were always inconclusive as to when they want to commence their campaigning primaries, and also the events that would culminate in their selection of whoever leads them. I think they have delayed too much, but generally better late.
You think the MPP has delayed too much?
Yes. I think this thing should have been held much earlier because, like you rightly said, I heard in someone's analysis, while some have commenced fully campaigning, at least for the presidential race, others are also unable to do so because of the position they hold in the current administration. And you don't want also a certain uneven playing field to be created for any of them or for all of them. So you would have thought that, you would have commenced a bit earlier, and then Dr. Baumia, for instance, would have known what he has to do. That, look, given that I'm also interested, maybe I may have to relax my own job and also hit the ground running, so that they would all be seen to be doing the same. But at the same time, you would also appreciate the fact that even though they have delayed, you may not want to, you may want to have a certain
he benefits from his position. Though he's not started campaigning, even without campaigning officially, he gets to play certain roles that put him out there, even right in the face of party delegates. So it's a lose-win situation, isn't it?
Well, I agree with you. That is a lose-win situation. But at the same time, even though he's not doing open, he's not been cleared to go all out. He is doing some of these things behind the scenes, and sometimes under the pretext of dealing with government business. One or two campaign maneuverings and gestures and overtures will take place. But I'm looking for a full-scale, full-blown campaign where all of them would have the platform and opportunity to go into full-scale campaigning. And if you recall, I've also called for a certain dialogue and debate amongst, all the aspirants. If the MPP is serious in deciding who must lead them in breaking the eight, that is, if they still believe in that cliche of breaking the eight, then they must ensure that who is elected, whoever they select to lead their flag bearership, or whoever they select to become their presidential candidate, must really be able to be the one who will lead them to break the eight. And one of the mechanisms that will help them in determining who must lead them, and one of the mechanisms that would help form the opinion of Ghanaians or crystallize the opinion of Ghanaians beyond the MPP party in support of will be for them to hold presidential or flag bearership or flag bearer aspirant debates. Flag bearer aspirant debates, so that we can see a healthy contest of ideas among them. Some of them are they were all, if you look at the aspirants, they were all in government. Okay, Vice President Baumia is a vice president. The other two, Lansah Mantain, Efri Yakutu, the leading ones have been in government. Of course, there are some who are also not in government but are interested. So let them meet, and then let those who are in government tell us what they did and why they think they can do things differently and why they were not able to influence it in a manner that reflects what they stand for now. Let those who are still in government now tell us how they have been able to, what they have done about the current challenges in which we find ourselves, and then what can also be done better and why we should give them the mandate. Let those who are not in government also come and expose what they think is wrong with the government and what they think they can do to help salvage the situation. So through this kind of healthy contest of ideas, I heard that they wanted to do a certain, put in a certain arrangement that would sieve the number of presidential aspirants, sieve the number to a very smaller number before then they hold the ultimate.
So they were saying that
yes.
if there were more than 5 contenders, and at least now for the main contenders, we're looking at 10. If there were more than 5, then they would have a special conference.
Yes, but how many are they now? Are they no more than 5?
The main ones are about 10.
The main ones. So the minor ones. If so, well, it means then they would have that special event to sieve the number down to, if you like, the 5. And I'm saying that for special events to sieve the number to 5, they must also have a certain presidential debate among their flag bearer, aspirants, so that we will be able to. It's not for the MPP alone, but for Ghanaians, and they must take wisdom. They must learn from the wisdom of others who have made the call that whoever they are selecting now, they should be mindful that the person must not only win their primaries or their selection process that will bring them the flag bearer. They should not only look at who will become the flag bearer, but they should look at who will become the president. And one of the means for ensuring that the processes will bring out who can win beyond the party and become president is through debate. So let them factor debate into their calendar and let there be a healthy contest of ideas among the aspirants with a view to ensuring that Ghanaians as a whole, whether partisan or non-partisan, whether party apparatchiks or neutrals or civil society, would all be able to make informed judgments as to who is better placed to lead their party and who can become who can become, who will be more affable and acceptable to Ghanaians as a potential president.
Right. I want us, with the rest of the time we have for this conversation now, to expand it and look at, yes, we're talking about these two juggernauts of political parties, the MPP in power, the NDC now in opposition. But the arbiter in the end, in 2024, December, is going to be the Electoral Commission. And there appears to be fire on the mountain once more. It's not just about the IPAC or matters that have come up. It's not just about the CI that is to be looked at by Parliament. But now it has to do with appointments to the Electoral Commission. The latest, we have Dr. Piahene, who is a known member of the MPP, and Hajia Tijani, another known member of the MPP. Both of them have been nominated, have taken up positions, courtesy of Mr. President, at the Electoral Commission. Now, the NDC started crying foul about it, saying these are clearly political affiliates that are being sent to the Electoral Commission. We now have Codeo joining the fray together with other CSOs. In fact, the representative who spoke for them yesterday, I'm talking about Professor Degbe, Dr. Fred Degbe, said, quote, "It is our considered and strongly held view and position that the appointment to the independent and non-partisan EC of persons who are known partisans or who have a partisan cloud over their heads is inconsistent with the spirit of the Constitution." I'll start with you, Dr. Kwapong, on this beat before I come to Prof. I come back to Prof. What do you make of those appointments and, as is being pointed to, their political party affiliation? Should it be a problem? And finally, people are saying, like Codeo, they should resign willingly because it is clear Mr. President will not, take them away from those positions. So they should look at their own conscience, examine their conscience, and resign. What do you make of that situation?
It's when you think of the Electoral Commission and the role that they play in our elections, they are designed to be the fair and impartial arbiter in our elections. I always refer to the EC as a referee, right? And therefore, as a referee in a football game, you expect independence, you expect a sense of fairness, a sense of equal treatment of all the parties involved in the game, right? Which means that voters, stakeholders, groups would always be very sensitive to who gets to be part of the officiating group of the match that we are about to be played, which is why I think it is always very important then to pay or at least to consider the extent to which the individuals being sent to such a sensitive institution have been openly partisan, right? I mean, yes, not everybody may show their partisan colors in the public space, although privately they may be very partisan and you and I would never know. And therefore, when they are being appointed to a certain sensitive position, it will not raise the same level of concerns compared to one who is openly partisan. And the reason why that partisanship becomes a concern is that to what extent can you trust that should a matter come up that needs that fair and impartial arbitration, that the said individuals will be able to suspend their affiliation, their loyalty to their party, and raise loyalty to the institution as well as to the country above those partisan.
In other words, can these people look beyond their party affiliations, where likely their bread has been buttered? And you look at, Dr. Piahene, for example, at a point was being considered for minister for Bono, the Bono region. You look at all the surrounding circumstances and you ask yourself, can they do that, especially when the party they are affiliated to is in power? That's the question, isn't it?
Exactly. And that is at the crux of the matter. So I am one person that I try not to read too much motive into what goes on in people's heads because you are not there, and you would want to give them the benefit of the doubt that in those critical moments they will be able to do exactly what you and I have just described, which is rise above party and place the institution as well as the country first. It is also not good for the EC at this moment because they are in a situation where trust in the Electoral Commission is at a historic low based on the most recent Afrobarometer survey, right? Only 10% say they trust the EC a lot. I think that sometimes appointing authorities should pay attention to some of these things, right? So you don't further exacerbate some of these trust issues that a given institution is already facing. But at the end of the day, for me, right, I just really, because you can't undo it, and because I don't see them also tending in their resignation to these positions that they've been appointed to, one can only hope that two things would happen, right? One, that they will be able to rise above partisanship in the course of their duty. But two, this is where other key groups like your CSOs, other political parties would have to be extra vigilant. I think those are the options now, or these are the only tools that can be used to ensure that none of that, concerns that individuals have would come to pass. Because the two other options of the resignation or the president undoing the appointments, I don't believe it's going to happen.
So do you feel they should resign based on what people are calling them to do? Should they resign? For the sake of election 2024, would you suggest they resign?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would. I think for me, their actions or inactions should what that is what they should focus on in ensuring or giving the assurance to Ghanaians that they will be able to maintain that impartiality come 2024.
Let me bring in Prof. as well. Just to add, on the other front, I've mentioned Dr. Appiah-Hene. How about Hajia Tijani? So she is said to be married, according to Dr. Degbe, to one Sheikh T.B. Damba, a leading member of the MPP who was formerly the second national vice chairperson of the party and served as Ghana's ambassador to Saudi Arabia from 2017 to 2021. Hajia Tijani's mother, Hajia Samata Gifty Bukari, was the first elected woman first vice chairperson of the MPP in the northern region. To add to that, her sister, Hajia Shani Mahama Zakaria, who is currently the CEO of the Microfinance and Small Loans Center, contested the 2020 NPP primary in Yendi. So the ties are there, but do these ties make it impossible for the likes of Hajia Tijani and Dr. Appiah-Hene to be in the positions they find themselves currently? What do you think, Prof?
For the lady involved, I mean, let us be clear, let us be fair, let us be objective in looking at this. It is only a few of us in Ghana who do not belong to political parties. And yet we are prepared to serve our country in whatever capacity that we find ourselves. But generally, everybody belongs to one party or the other. And so people belonging to a political party and having their parents belonging to a political party, in my view, should not cancel or invalidate or prevent them from being made or being given any appointment. I mean, if you expand the frontiers of that argument, then you are getting into the realm of absurdity. Every Ghanaian here, apart from a few, those of us who do not belong to any of the political parties, we are few. But people, we are generally NDC or MPP. And so for me, it shouldn't matter. But what must matter is when the person is known to have demonstrated partisanship. Please take note of this. There is difference between doing politics and doing partisan politics. Now, Aristotle argues that man is by nature a political animal. If you strip politics from man, he becomes something else, not a human being. And so naturally, men are political people. Okay? If you come to the classroom, I will teach you what it means to do politics. But generally, politics is ubiquitous, and the ubiquity of politics is such that you cannot divorce it from the activities of men. Every man born under the sun, every man born of a woman is naturally a political animal. But when Max Weber says that public servants and people who occupy the positions of fiduciary trust or public servants generally should abstain from partisan politics, all that he's saying is that I'm not saying don't vote, I'm not saying don't do politics, but what he's saying is that you should not be seen to have openly identified yourself with one political party. You should not be seen to have spoken openly in favor of, as in campaigning for or campaigning against one political party. You should not be seen at party rallies supporting the cause of a political party. You should not be seen to have worn a party T-shirt or be wearing party T-shirt, party boots, party trousers, party caps, or you should not be seen to have adorned yourself in any party paraphernalia in the conduct of your regular activities.
Well, because we have limited time, we have about 3 minutes to go. But I just want to find out when you look at
you let me develop the argument.
No, I just have to intervene here, just briefly, Prof. Please bear with me. When you look at the two candidates, the two people who are at the EC, is any of them in that category you speak of?
Well, I think I've seen several videos of one of them. I think
Dr. Apiahene.
Yes, and openly campaigning and spewing propaganda. In support of the current party, and that makes him a partisan person. Okay, so because that side of him is very much known, then it becomes difficult for you to appoint that same person into the position of an independent arbiter. It becomes very difficult, and you see, one of the palpable manifestations of unity of politics is the manner in which the extensive powers of the executive president has oftentimes been exercised. Several times, this is exercised in a manner that benefits party cronies without recourse to meritocracy. Initially, the president, Akakpo, gave us a clear hope that he wasn't going to fall for this quagmire when he first appointed Mr. Martin Amidu as a special prosecutor. And everybody applauded him that, look at the president. He's looked at somebody who merits this particular appointment and has given to him. But it appears that what Lord Acton said, that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, is having a bigger toll on the president. Now, because of power, it appears that he is not taking so many things into consideration in determining who...
So you feel power has corrupted the president?
Say again.
So you feel power has corrupted the president? Has he become power drunk?
Yes, because if that is not the case, in determining who must go and work at the Electoral Commission, you must first of all look at meritocracy. See, I worked with Mensa for 14 years, and within that 14 years, we worked on a program called the Ghana Political Parties Program, a program that brings together the leadership of the then four main political parties representation in Parliament to meet once every month at the IEA Secretariat to discuss issues of national importance in an apolitical manner. And so when G. Mensa was appointed the chair of the Electoral Commission, if you recall, I was the only person who went throughout the whole country, Ghana, to support and to applaud the president for such an appointment. Why? because she had demonstrated a decade or over a decade of track record of having dealt with political parties. Okay, so what is the track record of these other people within the area of election management that warranted their appointment there? And then we teach how to make institutions independent. One of the mechanisms to ensure that institutions are independent is to look at the way their appointments into them, is made. There are several things that you have to do to check their backgrounds to ensure that when they are selected into that institution, they will truly help to extol the virtues of independence of that institution. But if you don't look at their background and you appoint a partisan person to go and serve as an independent arbiter, then it means you are contributing to the legitimacy deficit and the lack of public trust of that institution. And what really worried me was even the attempt on the part of the president to defend this. You remember, if you listen to him carefully, what he said was that election is about those who vote and not those who count. And I'm saying that, Mr. President, with the greatest of respect, I beg to differ. If it is not about those who count, then what becomes of my vote if the counter is mad? What becomes of my vote if there are no people who will count objectively? Your vote will mean nothing if the counters are biased, if the counters are corrupt, if the counters are mad, if the counters do not exist. And so those who count are as important as those who vote in any democratic, practice.
So we have to go, Prof. But we have to go. But just to get this, so for you, for Hajia Tijani, because these are both professionals as well. If you look at the profile of Dr. Appiah Hene, he's a lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. If you look at Hajia Tijani, she works with the Agricultural Development Bank. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree. She holds an MBA, and now she's a Master of Science student in finance. So for you, do you think Hajia Tijani, regardless of all the surrounding circumstances, should stay? But because Dr. Appiah Hene has put himself in that position, he should resign?
I gave two. No, the caveats are two. Number one, they don't have the record and they don't merit this particular appointment because they have
both of them. Please just clarify. Both of them don't merit. Is that what you're saying?
They don't merit it because they have no track record in that area. Secondly, Appiah Hene is very partisan. I have no serious record of seeing the other lady involving himself in activities that we can describe as partisan. Right.
That's a very interesting way to end the conversation. Gentlemen, we're very grateful that you've taken the time to join us. Prof, it's good catching up with you again. And Dr. Akakpo, it's been a while. It's been refreshing catching up with you. Those last words there. So according to Professor Jampo, they don't merit the appointments. Looking at their track record, they do not merit the appointments. But even more forcefully for Dr. Appiah Hene, because he's put himself in a partisan role, he shouldn't even be there. And something else that Professor Jampo also made mention of, the fact that, yes, when it came to, at a certain point, the president was not being so political, in terms of appointing, for example, special prosecutor. The very first one, Martin Alamisi Burns Kaiser Amidou. But now, with these appointments, he feels, using Lord Acton's aphorism, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, that the president has been corrupted by power. And, that is why these appointments have been made. Very interesting discussion we've had. Now, stay with us. When we return from the break, we'll move away from politics and talk about rent-related issues. Now, if you've ever tried renting a place by going online, you might want to take caution. There are some fraudsters online and in other places. They'll come across as agents, but trust you me, they are not that. And if you part with any money to them, next thing you know, they bolt with your money. You go to the property and find out that, they were not agents, they were not owners, and people have lost as much as 30,000 Ghana cedis. That conversation is up next on the AM show.
I chanced upon the pictures of the...
I am in a car with one of the victims, Bright Ilse. We are heading to Tantra Hills to see the apartment the online fraudsters used to scam him. The swindlers had taken pictures of the building and uploaded them on an online platform.
This is the Tantra Hills community where Bright Ilse was brought by the fraudsters. They took him to an apartment nearby, a very beautiful duplex nearby, where they handed him keys. Bright Ilse tells me that even before he started the search online, his wife had a hunch that they could be scammed.
So I met him at Kodesh, around Kodesh area, because he said the landlord stays at North Carnation. So I picked him up around Kodesh, and then we drove to the landlord's house. We went to an area just like this. I mean, the houses are facing each other. And then just when we were about to get there, the landlord came out, I mean, in a haste, going somewhere, in a hurry, going somewhere. He comes across like a man of God who was going to preach. And he said, oh, he's been waiting for us for a very long time. We kept delaying him. He's in a hurry to go somewhere. So quickly I said, oh, we are here, so let's go inside. And he said, oh, quickly. We should just sit in the car and then, I mean, sort everything out. He started asking me questions, why I go to church, where I work and all that. Very nice and calm man. So even when my wife saw him, he said, oh, he doubts this will be a scammer. Because we were having that perception. So we gave the money to him, 15,600. He gave me a receipt. He asked me to sign and gave some 2 keys to my wife and said that, oh, she is the woman, so she should take the keys. He told me that the tenancy agreement will be ready, that's a Tuesday morning, so I should come to the house Tuesday morning to come and pick it up. It was a movie house.
Was a movie house?
Yes. I find out the house was a movie house. That was a Thursday morning after I tried reaching him and I couldn't reach out to him anymore. So I got there only to find out that the place was a movie house. No, the apartment don't belong to them. They are not the owners of the apartment. The apartment is not for them. I'm told the owner of the apartment. No.
This apartment?
Yes, they gave me 2 keys to this apartment after I made a payment of 15,600.
Bright Ilse is now on the phone speaking to another victim, 33-year-old event planner Ida Safoa. She saw Bright's story online and contacted him about how the same man defrauded her of close to 30,000 cedis after she tried to rent an apartment she saw online.
Landlord came out, was like, I'm in a hurry. I've been called to come to Tema for a surgery. You've kept long, so let's sit in my car and then run everything up so that I can go. I was like, okay, fine. And the way this man talks, he's like an angel. So my mom was like, hey, wait, when you're fiera, papa, papa. So we sat in his car, and there I gave him 20.
I'm saying that your landlord is it's a good man.
Exactly, because of how he portrayed. So we were in the car, and then I gave him a physical cash of 20,000. And then he was like, so when is he going to get the rest? And I was like, okay, I need a fence around the house. So if he's able to fix it for me, then I can make the final payment and then move in. And he was like, oh, it's not a problem. So I should go. And then he gave me a receipt for the 20,000 that I paid. And then he made me sign. He signed, and then my mother signed as a witness. No, when he called me, he made the wife also called. I was like, okay, so there's a woman involved. I'm not sure these people, they are fake or something. And then this woman called and was like, Pacho, me was Pentex, so me kunu ne do number mama say me frel. Na me was shop on mama Tony man into say hawa and can send the balance no na me fan toto. And I was like, okay. Into number ben so na me send it. And then they gave me a different number. Close to 30,000.
9,000.
Security man Imano Dankwa had saved and borrowed money from friends to rent. He was also swindled by the same man who defrauded Bright Ilse and Ida Safoa.
Yes, it's not easy for me, Prao. I borrowed some money, and one of my daughter to send me money, and I borrowed some of the money, and I used to pay this money for the landlord.
I can hear you.
But online,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Bright Ewusi tells me many others have contacted him that they have been swindled in the past by the same scammer using the same method. For now, he's on the loose, ready to pounce on his next victim.
And if you've been swindled, when we activate the phone lines, we'd love to hear from you. You could actually also shoot us a message via the live stream on the AM show. That's the new scam. Well, maybe not so new, but now it's becoming prominent because of some of these stories. Don't get defrauded, basically. Well, to throw some light on that issue, we have Emmanuel Hove Bosu. He is PRO of the rent control. Are you a department or you're a department still? Okay. Nowadays you have to be careful because some of them have moved on to become authorities and the rest.
Oh, we are a department.
You're a department. Yeah. Okay. First off, what is your reaction to this? Yesterday I was following it as my colleagues went in there. Unfortunately, this person has not been nabbed yet. He's still on the loose.
Okay.
What do you make of these scenes?
Yeah, what I make of this is that, Ghanaians, we don't do due diligence before acting.
Due diligence.
That is the underlying factor. That's my initial comment. We need to do due diligence.
So that's an interesting way. Basically, what this means is you are laying the full blame at the doorstep
of the victim.
Of the victims.
Exactly.
Is that fair, though?
Yeah, it's fair.
Because you would also look at systems. We don't have the right systems in place. I mean, there are others who would tell you that they went through similar processes and they were genuine people they were dealing with. Yeah. Look at the lady, the event planner, who says she was dealing with this person and he said there was a health issue that had arisen. They needed money urgently, so they had to do it in the car. 30,000 cedis. Yeah. That's not small money.
Yes, so it comes back to the due diligence. They didn't act the word to use. Money is very hard to come by. So departing even 1 cedi to somebody, you have to be sure the money you are paying worth what you are going to buy or what you are going to purchase for. So the underlying factor.
Due diligence.
Exactly.
I'll get into what due diligence exactly you mean and what people should be doing. But how much of these scenarios, how many of them have come to your attention in recent times, in recent years? How many of them?
No, this is a critically criminal offense. So it goes straight to the police. This does not come into our department.
So when I say come to you, I don't necessarily mean come to you for settling.
Okay.
But I mean, how many of them have come to your attention that you know of over the years or within the last
we've
few
been
months?
hearing of this for so many times within the years that has passed. But just as I said, it's a typical criminal offense, which the police are dealing with.
Do you collaborate with the police on these matters? Though it is a purely criminal case, do you collaborate with them? Do you give any information? What do you do?
No, there's a collaboration between us and the police. We have collaboration between us and the courts. Because at certain stages in our operations, we have to escalate to the magistrate, for instance. And if there are criminal cases, or we need the police to assist us to invite somebody to come for adjudication, we write to the police. So there's this collaboration between us and the police as well as the judicial service.
Let me just say this. If you have a case, if you have something similar that has happened to you, reach out to us. You know our call line. Reach out. I think it would enrich the conversation. You can reach out so we can take some of those comments or thoughts, intersperse it with the conversation we're having currently. What do you think about the social media end? I just saw a comment. This one says, why put this online? and that is the issue. You say that people shouldn't even be going online to take a look at these things because it's not likely they are genuine. The whole bit about advertising on social media. Social media now is the way to go.
Yeah.
People purchase on social media. People buy cars on social media. People get food from social media. You make the right payments, you reach the right organization, and you get things done.
Yeah.
Are we taking it too far? Are we stretching it too much? Should people simply desist from transacting like this on social media and trusting people with their money?
No, that is where we are going now. And very soon, by the end of this year, rent control will be on social media. Our digitalization agenda will fully be enforced. So this is the process, this is the agenda, this is the path we are all trekking. But we have to be careful because people will also take advantage of these platforms and then dupe people. So the issue about we being very careful is very key. Just as I mentioned, very soon rent control will be there where you sit in the comfort of your house or your home or your office. Lot complaints. We send you summons, both the respondent and the correspondent. And if things work well, you can be in comfort of your where we can adjudicate cases. This is the focus. This is where we want to be. But in all this, you still have to be careful, especially when you are departing money to somebody which you've not seen the thing physically. Because the issue of this using Photoshop to come out with pictures and those things, people can use that to scan you. So you need to do physical inspection before you do. In any case...
But the physical... You go on. I'll come back to the physical inspection.
In any case, in our laws, when you look at the Rent Control Law 1986, under Section 4, it states that every landlord of any premises in this law shall register with the department every lease or tenancy in respect of such accommodation within 14 days after entering into the lease. No landlord shall demand or receive from a tenant any residential accommodation the rent in respect of this accommodation. So tenants should be aware that without a tenancy agreement, which you both have signed, of which the landlord has deposited a copy at the rent control department for which it has to be approved, you have the right not to pay any money to landlord who you've not signed any tenancy agreement with. If you sign the tenancy agreement, that's where you see the details of the landlord of whom you are paying the money to. Your detail as a tenant will also be there. So if you are able to get this information and the person runs away with your money, it will be easy to catch that person. So the key word is you need to get document before you pay money, and most especially the tenancy agreement, because you are going to rent somebody's premises. You need to know your rights and responsibilities. You need to know the rights and responsibilities of the landlord to whom you are renting the premises with. Because when something happens, that is the agreement that you put on the table and then find out whose responsibility it is to fix or not to fix such a place. So the due diligence issue comes in. We shouldn't haste because of the housing deficit that will haste and then go and rent a place where we've not seen physically.
Hold for me. We have a caller, John from Bono East. John, welcome on the AM show. What are your quick thoughts for us?
Yeah, thank you, and good morning to all your listeners. In fact, rent issue in this country is a problematic. One, because of the housing deficit we have in this country, the landlord and the landlady choose to do whatever they want. That is one. Two, because of the same issue, the tenants also choose to go for whatever the landlord or the landlady will say. Because, for instance, I was about to rent at where I am working now. And I thought the price that the landlady is demanding for me is too exorbitant. Right. Before I turned my back, somebody went for it. So the problem is not only on the landladies or landlords. It's also some part of it is also come from we the tenants, because I'm desperate to get it. So no matter, maybe from my end, my company will pay. They don't care about any amount. But from the other side, it's individual. So he will try to maybe go for the low or moderate price.
Right.
Now, when you say the issue to rent control, Master, forget that rent control is not working. They are there as an institution. They don't care for the tenants. I'm telling you as a matter of fact, and I have an evidence. When you go, they only speak to what the landlord will say. Sometimes they will ask you, do you know the price of cement? Sometimes the rent control, the judge or whoever, they will ask you, do you know the price of cement? And you are here to say this or that.
Okay.
We have a law in this country that they shouldn't demand more than 1 year.
Right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I think your point is aptly made. So he talks about the fact that tenants themselves also are part of the problem.
Of course.
And then he talks about your outfit, rent control, your department, that you're not living up to expectation. And when he spoke, one of the things that came to mind, I think in recent times there was a bit of talk about it. I don't know whether it's 6 months or 1 month, that you shouldn't pay more than 6 months.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. No, the issue is that it's a collective responsibility, just as he has stated. You have your responsibility. You have a part to play as a tenant. The landlord has a part to play. I, the rent officer, I also have a part to play. The issue about the 6 months is that when you look at Section 25, Subsection 5 of the Rent Act 1963, it talks about the two categories of tenancy, the short tenancy and the long tenancy. The short tenancy is the tenancy which does not go beyond 6 months. The long is the one that goes beyond 6 months.
Right.
And the law under Section 25, Subsection 5 states that if it's a short tenancy, the landlord has no right to demand. The key word there is demand more than a month.
So that's the difference. That's why I mentioned 1 month and 6 months.
Exactly.
So for the short tenancy, not more than 1 month.
More than 1 month.
Okay.
To demand more than 1 month rent. If it's a long tenancy, the law states that the landlord has no right to demand more than 6 months rent advance. But just as he mentioned, if I'm a tenant and I'm negotiating with you that I will pay 6 months in blocks, somebody is standing behind me, signaling the landlord that I can pay 3 years, I can pay 2 years. If the landlord pushed you away and accept that 2 years, he has not committed any offense because he wasn't the one who demanded the 6 months or the more than the 6 months. That's where the law is. So it's up to us. If we can have one voice of tenants, that I go and negotiate for 6 months, you come, you negotiate for 6 months, the landlord will not sit down and wait for somebody who will come with 5 years. Because at that point, he needs the money to do something else. So if we have one voice, we can make this law. But the fact that somebody has offered 2 years, there's no offense.
So you admit that this is a gap in the law that ought to be filled.
Ought to be filled. If we want that the landlord should not demand and collect, then we have to amend, which we've indicated in our bill to Parliament, which is there. We are just praying and we are begging them.
Which bill is this?
That is the rent bill.
Control.
The rent bill. It's called the rent bill, yes.
Right.
The cabinet has given approval already. It's been laid before Parliament. We are just begging them so that they can pass, so that we harmonize the rental system or the rental industry in the country.
You can call on your rent issues, especially if you've been scammed or if you have any concerns about anything. 0302-211-691. 0302-211-691. It will be rolling on your screens. You spoke about physical inspection. Okay. I noted it down.
Yeah.
When you say physical inspection, what do you mean? Here's why I'm asking.
Okay.
Some people may actually take you to a facility.
Yeah.
And they may show you around and all of that, and maybe give some excuses about getting you inside in terms of, they may even get you into the property, but there may be some challenges.
Okay.
And you will only find out later that they have nothing to do with the property. I've also heard of incidents where landlords and landladies are in cahoots with these people.
Okay.
So they would have access, take you to the building and everything, take you inside, and then later, after payment has been made, you'll be told, no, these people actually are not my agents. This is my house. I own. That scenario is also there. So when you say physical inspection, I think there's more to it than you're just saying.
Exactly. So the issue is that the apartment or the room you are going for is not on an island or in an isolated place. after you've had an initial conversation with the person posting as the agent or the hostel manager, the apartment manager, or even the landlord, you can sneak out and then later date, you go and then make some few verification around. Because the person who built the apartment, definitely people staying around will know exactly who the rightful owner is. So that when you have this initial conversation with the person, and then you go back to make that verification and you pay money, then you'll be secured. Because the people staying around will not lie to you. But the person leading you there, as the apartment manager or as the agent, may come as a fraudster. There may be some genuine people.
Okay, just hold for me. We have a caller from Ashaiman. Is it K or King? Is it K or King from Ashaiman?
K-Y-K.
Hello?
Yes, it's K. K-A-Y.
K. All right. Please go ahead.
Yes. So I think that, yeah, like an...
Hello, K. We can't hear you. Please, if you could speak up a bit.
So I'm saying...
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. So I'm saying that, first of all, I feel like sensitization is something that we don't have a lot of around here. You know, everything that he's talking about makes a lot of sense. All the laws he's talking about, they make a lot of sense. But my question is, how many people know about these things? You know, there's a lot of information out there, but is it accessible? People don't know these things. And so people just go and then they get duped. So I feel like if rent control can actually find a way to make people more sensitized about how things are supposed to be, and also if they're more credible and will actually assist people in getting proper accommodation, then some of these things can be curbed. And maybe they can as well find a way to get on social media and find out who exactly these people are, you know, get some background information on who claims to be an agent, and if possible, even have some sort of, have something to prove that you're actually an agent, you know?
Right.
These people don't have anything that proves that they are agents, but they are there, you know? So I feel like all of these things must be tackled and not really bash the people who get involved in.
Right, Kay, thank you. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Kay from Ashongman, calling there. So at this point he makes, though, do you think it is apt for us to have maybe an umbrella body or something of the sort, so that if you're an agent, you are registered, you have a card and all of that, you are recognized by the rent control department and you are certified as an agent? Should we get to that point?
Yeah, we are already there.
You are? Because in the past, I mean, friends of mine have dealt with people and it doesn't appear those people had any ties to
what we have in place
rent
now
control.
Is the Real Estate Agency Act, which is meant to regulate all agents and brokers. The board has been formed. The bill has been passed. It's been passed. The board of members has been inaugurated. The council has been set. What they are doing now is to come out with modalities. You see, the act is meant to educate all people who call themselves agents and brokers, give them license and certificates, come out with approved fees and charges, among others. So that at the end of the day, when you are an agent or you call yourself an agent, you need to pass through this education where you'll be given certificate, you'll be given a fees to charge. So that when you go outside these fees and charges, the certificate will be withdrawn from you. So we are there already. We are just waiting for the council to come up with the dates and time as to when it's going to bring on board all people who call themselves agents and brokers.
How soon can we do that?
No, just as I mentioned,
I have a call on the line, so when I come back to
already.
you, then you can tell me how soon we can do this. Yeah. We have a caller, Gershon from Koforidia. Gershon, welcome on the AM show. What are your thoughts for us?
Yeah, very good morning to your panel.
Right.
Please, I want to add a question. I'm not getting something clear, and I want.
Go ahead, Gershon.
Please, I rented a place, and then my time is up. So I want to pay my landlord. Then after I give the money to my landlord, he said he has increased the rent, so I have to top up extra 600 cedis.
Extra how much?
I said, wow. So I was confused, and I don't know how, if that is how it's supposed to be done. We will not be informed when your time is up. You just go and give the money to the landlord. The landlord said, I've increased the rent. So calculation of the 600 up to 600 cities to the money before it's up to. So I want to know if that is the law.
So just to get this clear, you were paying for rent. For how long? For how long were you paying? 1 year, 2 years?
Yes, 1 year. I was there. I'm an old tenant there.
So this was after a while.
Let's
just do this quickly, Gershon. I want to get the exact question because it will be relevant to our guest. So 1 year. How long had you been there before the landlord increased the rent?
3 years.
You had been there for 3 years?
Yes, but last year too, he did the same thing. And this year too, the same thing.
So every year he increases the rent?
That is how you do, yes. I think that the first and second year we pay the same amount, but the third year, which is the last year, something like that happened. And we all were bitterly angry with him that we don't do something like that. If we are in your place and you wanted to increase, we expect you to come to the house.
Right.
At least inform us.
All right.
And this year too, the same thing happened this year.
Gershon, point made. Interesting question you've brought to bear. And that brings another aspect of the conversation. For those of you watching us, don't forget the focus this morning is on fraud. Those who are defrauding people in the name of being agents. But we're weaving in other aspects of the conversation. So we're staying focused, but we're bringing in the other surrounding matters. This bit about add-ons. There are some who, once you come in from the following year, and there's experience to that, they will keep increasing it. How legitimate, how legal is that?
Okay. So the issue is that assessment is done every 2 years. I call it assessment because if you have a landlord come before you with a rent of which you are not satisfied, you, the tenant, under our laws under Section 10, has the right to come to rent control and apply for what we call an assessment, where we come and value the place, in quote, that what the landlord is putting before you is legitimate.
Senior, let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Hold on. Yeah, Ghana.
Yeah.
You take your landlord to rent control and all of that. You know what happens next, right?
Okay.
The next time after that year, he'll be quiet or she will be quiet. Okay, you want to play like that? Let's do it. Buga. Next year, oh, I'm not even renting the place anymore. Oh, my child is coming from here to come and occupy. I mean, you know the realistic reasons people will not even come to you about that.
You know, this is the monster we want to take off the faces of both landlords and tenants. Bringing somebody to rent control does not mean that you've taken the person to court. Our mandate or our motto at the department is to reconcile and promote peace. So if somebody is putting a rent before you of which you are not satisfied, and you come to rent control for rent control to come out with a realistic rent, after which a certificate will be given to you, both the landlord and the tenant, for you to abide by, then it shouldn't be a monster that you've taken me to court or you've taken me to rent control. So in the next month, I'll come out with an excuse. Of course, the law is there that if you've not committed any crime, that worth for you to be evicted, no landlord has right to come out with the certain. Because when you come out that my daughter or my son is coming from abroad, we have the right to demand the itinerary from the person.
All right, I have to take the next caller. When I'm done with the caller, I want you to tell us, is there any mechanism, when someone comes to report like that, is there a mechanism to, after this judgment is delivered, of preventing the landlord or landlady from forcefully evicting this person, moving on? I hear we've lost that caller. We had a caller from Westlands. If that was you, just put in the call again. My apologies for that. So after, let's say my landlord does that and I feel, look, this is not right. I bring the person to you and you rule that no, even what you're charging is too high. After that, if 1 year on, the person gives me some excuse that I must quit that property,
okay,
what can I do?
Okay, so what we have to understand is the tenancy agreement is very key. that you come and sign an agreement for a year or two. After the year or two, the landlord has right, as well as you, the tenant, has right to opt out of the tenancy. So that at the end of, before getting to the end of the tenancy, you need to meet with the landlord and then seek, if you want to repossess the place again, you renegotiate.
We'll come back to the negotiation. We have Prince from Accra. Prince, you're in Accra. What are your quick thoughts?
Yeah, I rented a room. Hello? Yeah, I rented a room.
Please, let me just say this. When you call, we have limited time. We want to exhaust as many issues as possible. When you call, go straight to the point. Prince.
Yeah, hello. I rented a room somewhere on the Princess Road. Then I paid through my Momo wallet. Now, without any receipt, without the landlord issuing any receipt to me.
Wow.
Later, she claimed I have not paid any money. I went for the statement from MTN, and then she claimed she even backdated the date. She backdated the date. Meanwhile, I knew the time that I paid. She took me to rent control. The rent control says that money that I paid wasn't, I didn't pay such money.
Did you have the evidence, the evidence of payment to her mobile money account?
Exactly. The evidence was there. I did a printout of the statement from MTN.
But I have a question for you, Prince. You could pay 30,000 cedis to somebody, and if it is not stated, did you have a tenancy agreement?
No, she didn't give me a tenancy agreement.
No, but this is not a matter of she didn't give me. You, as the tenant, you have to have it. You have to demand it.
For it, and it's like.
Hello, Prince.
Yeah, I'm online, sir.
Okay, so you go ahead and make your point. I'll let the PRO of the rent control department answer you.
Yeah, I demanded for it, and she told me later she will tender in the agreement, but I waited and it wasn't forthcoming.
How much did you pay to her?
I paid 4,680 Ghana cedis.
For what period? 1 year?
For 1.5 years.
Wow. Prince, thank you for sharing your story with us. So you were wrapping up on the way of not getting forced out, and then we can add Prince's issue.
Exactly. So just as I was saying, if a landlord comes out with an excuse, we do investigation. Because if you say the place, you are going to renovate the place, so the person should move out, we will come and assess the place if it's not tenantable. If it's tenantable, we will make sure that the tenant exhausts its tenancy. Just as I mentioned, at the end of the tenancy or before the tenancy, you need to sit down and renegotiate. At that point, the landlord has power to say that I want to renew your tenancy for you. You also have power as a tenant to say that at the end of the tenancy, I want to opt out. If you agree that you continue your tenancy there, fine. But you don't have any right that at the end of your tenancy, by force, the landlord should allow you to continue staying in your premise.
So if I get your point correctly, let's say, and of course, the right thing to do is if you mean to stay, let's say, at least 3 to 6 months before.
2 to 3 months.
Right.
Sit down with
so let's say 3 months to time, you start negotiating with the landlord. By that, you would have expressed interest. It would be an expression of interest. And by that time, would you still say that under the circumstances, the landlord can still say, go? Looking at the background to the case that, look, I took you to rent control and I think you're victimizing me.
No, that is the point. At that point, the landlord can say that, no, your tenancy that you came to agree with initially has expired. I have the right to renegotiate it to allow to continue to stay. So the tenants should be they should be good to their landlords. Okay, somebody has sworn to build a premises. You come there and then you start to cause nuisance and annoyance. You start to use the place for immoral and illegal purposes. Some landlord could harbor it at the
How about those who tell you there's nothing like that? They've been stellar tenants, yet they are victimized. No, I'm sure you've heard stories.
Yeah, the issue is that just as I underline the issue, that the underlying factor is at the end of the tenancy, the landlord has a discretion to allow you to continue staying in the premises. And you also have the right, if the landlord is willing to accept you there, you also have the right to say that, no, I want to continue, or I want to opt.
Very quick question. By what percentage should is it allowed for landlords and landladies to increase rent year on year? By what percentage?
Okay, we don't have any percentage attached to this. What we do during the assessment is that we look at the value of the land, the materials you've used in building your premises, the property rate you pay, and even any other rate you pay, all come into effect to determine the rent. So there's no percentage that every year it should be 10%, 20%, 50% on it. We look at the economic situation and then we determine the rent. Just as I said, if for a period of 2 years, nothing has gone on, the landlord has not done anything or any improvement that will benefit the tenant, then the landlord has no right to increase the rent. But after 2 years, we will come in and then look at the economic situation, though the landlord has not done anything. Because at the end of the day, if the landlord has used quality materials to build his premises, compared to somebody who has used inferior materials, who needs to be maintaining the place every year. But this person, because he has used quality materials, it may last for 10 years. You cannot deny that person that because he has invested so much, every 2 years, he has to wait for you, the tenant, to pay the same rent for a period of 5 years.
Even as you say this on behalf of the landlords and landladies, which is a good thing, there are also times when they do nothing. In fact, you go into certain places and you, the tenant, now have to do certain things. And when you give them the bill as part of your future rent, they act up. All these stories come up. You should also, as rent control, be looking at, I know a lot of old buildings, I don't want to mention, old buildings that do not, in fact, some of them could come caving down on tenants. We are waiting. All of these buildings across the country, right here in Accra, there are many of them in different places. I don't want to mention place names, so I don't victimize any, but we know them. What is happening to those? I know of one in a certain place, and maybe I'll alert you to it after the show. And these are death traps. These are disasters waiting to happen, and we look on. What are you doing in that regard?
No, the issue is about the housing deficit. You see, the tenants keep quiet because they fear victimization. When they talk, the landlord may come out with excuse, and they think that when they come to rent control will not be at their side. The issue is that when you are facing issues with any landlord, the right place for you to come is the rent control department. And I want to stress again that our department is to reconcile and promote peace. It's not a place that will cut people's head. We will sit the two of you down and let you understand the business in which you've agreed to transact. So it's not a place where you can report somebody, and then at the second part, the landlord will say, now, why have you taken me to rent control? My child is coming, I want to renovate. Just as I said, when you come out with such excuses, if you don't commit any offense under the act that warrants your eviction, the landlord has no right to forcefully eject you.
All right.
So I'm just open to all tenants. If you have any issue, you come to rent.
I'll be going to interact with Stephen Seshikujo, who is lead computer emergency response with that team, the lead for the computer emergency response team with the Cybersecurity Authority. Before I get to him, though, I just wanted you to clarify this because I may forget. Prince posed the question about paying that sum of money and no tenancy agreement and all of that, if you recall. Exactly. What would you say to Prince?
Yeah, so what I want to say is, just as I quoted from the law, the person has to issue with a tenancy agreement where the details of the landlord will be in there, the details of you, the tenant, will be in there, your rights and responsibility will be in there. So after you've paid the money, and the person has issued you with receipt, and the person runs away, the details there can be given to the police for them to track the person out, and the money will be given to you. So the key is the tenancy agreement.
Well, so if any landlord or landlady is giving you stories about the tenancy agreement, you don't have to go with it, because once you dilly-dally on that, they can tell you, like Prince is suggesting, that and it could become problematic for you. But let's bring in Mr. Seshikujo. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning.
As far as this situation is concerned, fraud, rent fraud, what should people be looking out for? Now, the new turn is that people advertise on social media. People look at those facilities on social media, meet with these purported agents. They are taken to the facility. They come to believe that they are renting a place, and they part with money, up to about 30,000 from our latest investigations. What should people be looking out for to prevent themselves from getting scammed?
Right. So I mean, dealing online come with these risks. We tend to be a trusting kind in general. So it comes down to what we call due diligence. You can't just take someone's word for it when you see an advertisement online. And the stories we've seen the agents, the so-called agents, take the unfortunate victims to a specific place, point out a building, and then say that's the place. What you can do is to verify this after you've been there. So after they've sent you there, you can go back another time on your own. Go around the neighborhood, speak to the people who live there, and verify that that venue or that place actually is somewhere you can rent, and then be sure that it's actually so. The other thing you can do is whoever you're dealing with, in terms of the agent or the tenant, get a photograph of them, get a photograph of a national ID that they have, so we know you can be sure who they are. Say they are Kwekumenu, for example. Their ID says Kwekumenu, the picture on it matches their face, and keep that evidence because it's going to be useful in case there's an issue later. In terms of how you actually even do the payments, the rent, the sums involved, like you just said, 30,000 and thereabouts, these are not small sums. So you need to do the transaction through a channel which can be tracked. A bank is what we recommend, because in a bank, they would have validated who the owner of that account is, and that transaction can be tracked.
How about mobile money? We had a caller, Prince, who said he paid his landlady through mobile money, and she swore heaven and earth that no payment had been made to her. He took the matter to rent control. Nothing came of it.
There you go. So it becomes a matter of evidence. If you do that in a bank, it's a much easier thing. The structures there are much more robust, and therefore it can be easier for law enforcement to use that evidence to track whoever it is. The other thing we can add to this is, I mean, in doing these transactions, looking at wherever you're going, when you do that recon or reconnaissance, you also ask, what's the average rent around this place? So if you go to location A, Ablekuma, for example, they tell you that, oh, around these parts, we charge 800 a month for rent. And then your deal says you're going to get 200 or 300 a month. That's a red flag you should be careful about, because it's likely they're just going to use that to rip you off. They ask or get the 2-3 years advance and they are going with your money. So you check the environment to be sure your rent that you're being offered is actually realistic, and therefore you're dealing with the right people. The lawyers can help you. They have a service where they can look into these facilities. They can check the ownership, if it's an estate developer or it's an agency that's involved in leasing apartments. They can check and verify their background before you commit yourself to such an engagement.
Okay, so very quickly on that point, in our jurisdiction, first, because of cost factors and all of that, maybe if it's some plush real estate, property, people would do that. But the normal Mekorenti or La Paz, Mekorenti or Taifa, most people wouldn't go to that extent of bringing a lawyer to check X, Y, Z. By the way, most of these agents aren't even certified. So I think that may be a bit of a stretch. Maybe for huge properties, people would have to get into the details of that. But for the ordinary Kojo, the ordinary Ama on the street, what would you suggest?
Oh yeah, then for that is the first point about at least checking out the neighborhood, speaking to the people there to be sure who actually owns the place you're interested in might help. Yes, we acknowledge the fact that yes, the lawyers might be expensive for some scenarios, but it doesn't take away the due diligence you need to do.
In terms of cyber hygiene, it has come to the fore now, especially on social media. What can people do to prevent themselves from getting defrauded? And there was a time when there was this outfit purportedly selling electronic gadgets. Some time back, years back, these people were ripping people off because they would put juicy gadgets there that they were selling them from trusted brands. But once you make a payment, that's it. That's the last time you're going to be able to connect with them. It's a similar situation with these fraudsters. How do we observe cyber hygiene to sort of prevent ourselves from getting defrauded?
Yeah, so with online shopping scams, again, there is an element of due diligence you can do as a prospective customer. You need to validate that the shop that is advertising actually has a physical location that you can track them to. So they should have an office that you can go to if you have issues with whatever product you are getting. And we typically recommend that when you purchase such items, you should only pay after you've actually received them. I mean, the ideal model is, yes, you've done your payment, your goods will be delivered, but that's what exactly the scammers are exploiting. They are breaking down that trust in our digital infrastructure. So at this point, what we are recommending is do not make any payment for a good or a service you've not received. Receive it first, then you can make the payment. If they refuse, then definitely you should look for an alternative source. And as much as possible, try to deal with recognized brands or recognized outlets for these goods that you're trying to purchase. Watch out for too good to be true offers, 60% discount, 70% discount. You have to be careful. Sometimes they do this just to attract you, get your attention, and then your money is gone.
If it's too good to be true, you have to look out. Right before I take your final thoughts, maybe your final piece of advice to would-be tenants, I just want to find out. So, for example, in this instance where this person has ripped off a number of people, someone of 30,000, another person of about 9,000, and the rest, hard-earned money, are they traceable? Is it possible in some ways, whether through social media or otherwise, to trace these people, especially if you don't have their national identification and all of that? Are they still traceable?
To some extent, but it's a bit tricky. The digital world is a bit difficult to deal with, especially if you don't have the right inputs or shall we say evidence from whoever the victim is. We can look at the profile if they know the profile name on whichever platform they contracted the guy at or met the guy at, and we can typically, as a national set, engage the provider of that platform, and with the law enforcement support, some investigations can be done. We have a law enforcement liaison unit that would then typically collaborate with the other agencies to look into this. So as much evidence as they have right now, if they share it, yes, we can share that with the other law enforcement agencies and try and track the person down.
Your final words, sir.
We can add that as consumers of digital services, we should be alert always. Due diligence, as we've talked about, is important. Also be wary of what we call social engineering. People calling you and giving you nice stories so that you commit your money into some activity or service or the other. Always listen carefully, especially for people you do not know. Do not share sensitive information about yourself, your Ghana card, IDs, your PINs to your wallets, your debit cards and the like. As much as possible, take your time. If somebody's giving you a deal, think through it before you make a decision. And if you're not sure, you can call the National Cybersecurity Authority. We have a point of contact on 292. You can also send us a WhatsApp on 050-160-5111. And someone here will listen to whatever consent you have, and we can look into whatever you are checking on and give you some advice.
Right. So 292 is what? Is that a hotline of sorts?
Also take SMS.
That's SMS. So the call line that you mentioned, could you repeat it for us, please?
So the 292 does both voice and SMS. And then the 050-160-5111 is a WhatsApp line. So you can chat with us.
So 050-161...
160.
160.
5111.
Okay, 160-5111. Okay. All right. So 050-160-5111. Thank you. I think I'll get our team to put that up so that as many of you as possible, 050-160-5111 can get interactive if they feel they are getting scammed. Or you could send a message to 292. That is Stephen Seshikujo. He is lead Computer Emergency Response Team at the Cybersecurity Authority. Coming back to you, I don't know whether you have any comment on anything he said. If you could quickly do that, then we'd also look at this whole bit about the 10% that agents charge. Yeah. A lot of them have, you talk to them, some even go as far as 12%. You know, but a lot of them will tell you 10%, 10%. Now imagine you're paying 30,000 CDs, like, you know, the lady, the event planner, 30,000 CDs. You'd be looking at another 3,000 CDs for this agent. I know they vary them sometimes, but what's your take on that?
Okay, so the issue about the fees and charges, as I mentioned, the Real Estate Agency Act is coming to regulate this, as I mentioned. But under our current law, that's the Act 220, the fee is supposed to be 5% out of the rent advance that the tenants pay. So that when you go and then you like the premises and you pay your rent advance, the landlord is supposed to give you 5% of the rent advance that you've paid to him, to the agent, because he has contracted the agent to look for the apartment.
So you actually shouldn't be paying anything to the agent.
There shouldn't be left and right demand for...
Once you've made the payment of, say, 30,000,
exactly, that's
it behoves the landlord or landlady to pay.
That's what the law says. So that if you advertise that you have 2-bedroom house for rent, it's the landlord who has given you the premise. So he has contracted you. That's why you've advertised. So when I come to you and you lead me to the place and I pay my rent advance, then the landlord who has contracted you is supposed to pay 5% of that to you. And not that I, the tenant who has come for the service, then you charge me 10%, and then you go to the landlord and charge the landlord also 10%.
So this is a clear breach of the law. And then again, I would have to ask what rent control has been doing about this, because you have people left, right, center paying 10%, 9%, 7%, 5% to these agents, when in fact, per the law, it is the person who is renting out his property or her property who should be paying this sum to them.
Exactly. So that's why the Real Estate Agency Act is now has been approved, it's been assented to, it's now been approved, the board has been set, the council is putting its modalities down, so that will come out and gather all those who call themselves agents and brokers, so that it can take off those Goro boys out of the system. They are going to be trained, as I mentioned, and then they will be given license and certificate. So that if you go out there without a license, you cannot even call yourself an agent or a broker, because if you do that, according to the Act, it will be an offense.
All right, so you've spoken of the Act, you've spoken about approval. I want my final bit to you.
Yeah.
The rent bill that you spoke of, which, is it before Parliament?
It's before Parliament now.
What are your expectations? What are you going to do to push this through so that some of these changes can be brought to bear?
Okay, we are just
and by the way,
supporting,
let me just clarify. For those of you watching, the 5% he speaks of is already in effect, right?
Yes, it's in effect.
It's in effect. So that is not something that is futuristic. That one is in effect. If you're a landlord or lady and you contract an agent and the person gets a client for you, you should be paying the agent, not the tenant. Yes. Not the tenant. Some of you have got away with murder. Anyway, so back to you.
So so we are pushing, we are working together with our minister, which is the Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Asanse Boachi. We are encouraging him because he is leading the agenda. And what we are expecting, we are expecting change of day because of this digitization and because of other functions that we are going to have at the rent control. There will be a change of name. There will be an appointment of a rent commissioner. There will be an establishment of all the districts we have. There are 275 districts. There will be rent control offices in all these districts. So that will be visible to everybody. The National Rental Assistance Scheme, which you know is going to be, is in effect now. And then quickly, let me state that over 2,800 applicants are on board. Of course, some are just trying to see if the system is working. And what they want to know that the scheme is not a scam. And out of that, 115 are enjoying, which means that their rent has been paid. And they are enjoying. 600 people have been approved, awaiting payment. And then 780 are under validation. So I want to state here that the scheme is not a scam. Anybody who has applied and have not received any money can contact this number. That is 055-134-1515.
Please slow down with the number so that...
So it's a WhatsApp number as well as a voice number, which is 055-134-1515. If you have applied and they've approved you and you've not received your money, kindly call this number. and then you will be given. So I want to state again that it's not a scam, as people are perceiving that the National Rental Assistance Scheme is a scam. It's not a scam. People are benefiting, just as I mentioned. So that's where we are going. Okay. So the Real Estate Agency Act is in effect to regulate all those agents and brokers who call themselves and they want to do that business.
Right. It's been a very interesting conversation. It's been eye-opening. Some of the things I knew, some of them I did not know. So today, even I know as well. And I'm sure you've also been armed. If you are getting ready to pay your rent for another period, you know, for example, one thing you can't forget, you do not pay the agent. If they challenge you, take the person, that landowner, that agent to rent control. It is the landowner, it is the property owner who pays the agent. Yeah. You don't pay. You don't pay. We were joined by Stephen Seshikujo, lead computer emergency response team. He is with the Cybersecurity Authority. He joined the conversation midway. We also had here in the studio our guest Emmanuel Hove Bosu. He is PRO for the Rent Control Department. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, stay with us. We'll be back after the break with a lot more on the AM show. Welcome back on the AM show. We now talk about road safety, and Easter is just around the corner. A lot of us are going to be traveling, whether Kwewu or wherever it is that we'd be going. But guess what? Road safety is important. Let's connect now to Bernice Abubedu Lansah, who is at one of these yards having an interaction on that precisely. Bernice, if you can hear me, what's happening where you are?
A lot of high school students are on a break, and so there's quite some activity here. But this morning we're here because there are concerns about road safety. Quite recently we've seen instances in the eastern and parts of the Ashanti region where commercial buses were involved in ghastly accidents and many people lost their lives. This morning I'm here to assess what this company here is doing to ensure that people are safe on the roads, and to speak to travelers as well on how they also contribute to road safety. And guess what? Just before we came to you, I spotted Mr. Esiedu Mensah, who is with the National Road Safety Authority. And I was just curious because I've never seen anybody here from the authority in all my visits to this place. So I'd like to find out from him what he's doing here and what he's been taking the drivers through. Good morning to you, Mr. Esiedu. Good morning, madam. Thank you for agreeing to speak to us. So first off, is this something the Road Safety Authority is doing, or this company deliberately employed your services?
Yeah, the company employed my services. It came to the road safety, from the Road Safety Authority. Every transport operators must have their road safety officer to see to the drivers, to check that if you have something like pre-departure checks, you check the bus before you take off from the station. Tires, the wiper, and sometimes the headlights. So during the evening, that's my duty here, to see that any bus who take the route is roadworthy.
So it's almost like when you go to the airport, there's a safety officer who is ensuring and doing all the checks before the vehicle is cleared to move. But what about the drivers themselves? Because they are concerned, some of them sometimes take to drive. What do you do to check the drivers as well?
Anyway, they promised to bring me up. I can say the authority, the drivers are not alcoholic. You can't see a driver ready to move intoxicate. No. For this station there, I'm here for 10 years. Some drivers can drink, but not the moment they are ready to move. No, that's why I'm there. If you see that, then your job is finished. You can't work here again. If you drink, not me alone, the manager, the director see that, let's go and check this out. I think this movement is not fine. Then you are finished. You'll be fired the same day. another driver will take the bus away.
So these checks that are done, I mean, it's just it's exciting to hear the effort that is put in ensuring that travelers and drivers are safe. But when they are on the road, do you have any systems to also check that they are complying with your directives? They are not overspeeding, they are not doing wrongful and dangerous overtakings, etc.
Anytime the bus, especially on occasion like this, the bus is ready to move, I'll be in the bus, talk to the passengers to take care of the driver, how he's doing. If it's not good, the next destination, report to the officer, at least Linda door. You can report there. The manager will call us here. If you don't, you misbehave, they can let another driver take the bus from Linda door to Kumasi. And for this station there, I can say discipline is working. If you see my manager, I will tell me, manager asked me to talk to you. What you do here, no, I will be ashamed. So discipline is here. He asked me, don't park here. If you park, they won't load you. And if they don't load you, your car will now take the car from you.
Interesting. So what do you think other transport operators can learn? You are a road safety official. You've been doing this, I'm sure you've been doing this for more than 10 years, but you say you've been stationed here for 10 years. And it's interesting that I'm just seeing you because at a point in my life, I used to travel a lot to Kumasi and I used to come here.
Those boys. Yes. I was here before my manager Akakpo came here. I'm here a long time.
So what can other transport operators learn from here?
They have asked all the transport operators. I have my colleagues at SCC. We all okay, he won't come. But here, there, if there's a meeting and I don't go, director will fire me. Once they say today is a meeting for road safety, I have to be there. And Mr. Adontin, all the officers, they know me very well. And I'll bring the message to my manager before he read the directors.
Recently, we saw some accidents on the Kumasi highway where two buses collided, and people are very worried. What do you think transport operators must do? Or what other things can we employ to ensure that we are safe on the road?
Oh, that accident, when accident happened like that, it was container on the middle of the road. It's the duty of the Ghana Police Service to clear the container from the road or to make sure they give long warning for the drivers. Otherwise, it's a night. If it's a daytime crash, it's serious. Oh, then accident may happen, but sometimes we have to prevent accident to happen.
Right, so this is Mr. Isiedu here. He's stationed at the VIP station at Circle, and he's just sharing his thoughts. And just a couple of days ago, on Tuesday, the National Road Safety Authority released an alert warning owners of broken down vehicles to take them off the streets and the roads or face prosecution. And that's a very disturbing one. He mentioned sometimes there's no triangle, there's no warning. And so it's a combined effort in ensuring that our roads are safe. So this morning you've done your drills, you've spoken to the drivers.
In fact, I was not feeling well. I went to the clinic. I'm just from the clinic before I saw you here. Okay. So now I'm going to start.
So I'll leave you to do your job. Thank you so much for talking to us. Let's see if we can find a few passengers to talk to also find out from them if there are any safety concerns. So I'd have to go in there to see if I could catch a few of them. Yes, to find out from them how they feel. Hello, sir. Good morning. Can I talk to you? My name is Bernice on road safety. Are you here? Are you in Ghana?
Beyond that, I don't know what else you're looking for. What are you trying to find out?
So, you know, it's Easter and a lot of people are traveling and there are concerns about road safety, broken down vehicles. You just mentioned bad roads, reckless driving. So as a passenger, anytime you're going to board a vehicle, what goes through your mind about road safety and what personal decisions do you take to ensure your safety on the road?
I try not to travel at night and I make sure I pray before I go. I thank you very much.
Thank you for talking to us. Very, very important. to do, don't we? For those of us who believe in God. Hello, good morning. How are you? My name is Bernice. What's
Kumasi.
Kumasi? Have you bought your ticket already?
No.
Okay. You're going to have fun. Which part of Kumasi are you going to?
I'm going to Crofrom.
Oh, Crofrom. Yeah, Crofrom girl. Okay. I'm a Kwadaso girl, so. Yeah. So, what are your concerns about road safety? When you're about to travel, what comes through your mind, and what do you do to ensure that you also contribute to road safety?
Oh, me there, I don't know, but I think maybe, I don't know.
So, right now you're going to travel, right? Are you thinking about, will I get there safely?
Yes.
So, what are you hoping that the drivers will do so that you can get there safely?
Driving safely so you can go safely, right? Yes.
Thank you for talking to us. All right, so let's see if we can get a couple more people who are traveling to speak to, for them to share their thoughts with us on road safety. Hello, good morning. Can I speak to you? Hello, good morning. What's your name, please? Mercy, where are you traveling to?
I'm going to Kumasi.
All right. Are you going because it's Easter or this is normal travel?
No, it's a normal travel.
Yeah. Mercy, what are your concerns about road safety?
Please, what I know about road safety is prevention. I don't know how to express myself.
Right. But when you're so to kwaya, say
sometimes no ya na a dependent driver no. Oh kwa, what they walk on would you find out what they call. But once I walk on me always be a me too kwaya, me de kind of me who say mensa. Say ya memo me home by driver now the make on so. Onya ne kwan for non fire could rasum dream.
So what a bus muna said driver no ebia or drive basa and now she know overtaking you but one kasana ya then now we found
me draw no attention since I mean kwa hu here once me draw no attention say on to nebo since I walk one can we and find train bibi ko si a on kwa na dia to a sign.
So Mercy is basically saying that, I mean, when she's embarking on a journey, she has a very clean mind. She commits the journey into God's hands. But obviously, she is concerned when a driver is being reckless and will tell him to drive properly and carefully. And she says that it's her life here. And so she won't put her life on the line like that. She needs to insist that the driver does the right thing. Often, Anna.
We cry me for Kumasi Naba, me be drama matching. Me be yadi, me we are, me circle back to Kumasi.
Na na say omo any drivers ne kasa omo ne passengers nso kasa nse na ma say e bia say who say driver ni say now do next stop I'll bet what experiences are there that. So I was just confirming with her what I was told earlier about the drills and the routines that the passengers are sometimes taking through. She says she's quite a frequent traveler, but she's not experienced that. But at least she knows what she has to do in case a driver is being reckless here. So we'll see. It's not as busy. The drivers tell me it's quite early in the day.
We'll hear more of that when we can connect with Bernice Lansah. But she's out there. If you're traveling this Easter, let your security be your priority. I loved that man who said that for him, yes, he prays and then he doesn't travel at night. I try as much as possible not to travel at night or not to drive at night. But interesting discussion there. If you're traveling, stay safe. Let's come back into the studio. And a few days ago, we had an interaction with Waylead Properties. They have a lot going on. They are leading the way in real estate. This morning, we have two of their representatives joining us in the studio. They are beaming with smiles right now. Okay, when I said it, immediately the smiles came. We have Evelyn Amegai, property sales consultant at Waylead Properties. Thank you, Evelyn, for coming. We also have Linda Nkansa Enchi, property sales consultant as well with Waylead Properties. Thank you for joining the conversation. To start it off, tell us a bit about Waylead. I'm sure there are those who are watching today who didn't watch a few days ago. Tell us about Waylead Properties.
Okay, so Waylead is a developer. It's a developing company.
Okay.
We've been in the system for more than 15 years now. And
wow.
Yes, but we started the development in about 11 years ago with Vista Del Mar at Airport Hills, where we have 22 houses in all, which has been sold out. And then we are now at Sakumono with Le Jardin Symphonique, which is almost sold out. We are left with about 4 of the houses available now. And then we are currently developing Alphabet City.
Okay.
So Alphabet City is an apartment, 2 and 3 bedroom apartment, which is currently selling and then situated in Sakumono at the moment.
Okay, so Alphabet City, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. How putting them together, how many of these facilities have you put up?
We have 6.
You mentioned, is it Vista Del Mar or
we
Vista
have
Del Mar?
Vista Del Mar at Airport Hills, and we have Le Jardin Symphonique at Sakumono.
Okay.
And then now we are on Alphabet City. We have 6 blocks currently standing.
Wow, wow. So let me come to you, Linda. These new developments, these new properties that you are putting up, what makes them unique? What makes them stand out? For which reason we all should be rushing to Waylead Properties?
Okay, so one thing is that these developments are ready to move in. So you can pay your money and then you just move in with your luggage. So they are ready to move in. Another thing is our structural integrity. We don't build with hollow blocks. We build with 8 inches blocks, so they are very firm. Our structures are solid. Yes, they are solid and firm. So we have the structural integrity. And with Waylead Company Ghana Limited, we also manage our properties 100%. So from construction to after-sale services. So the properties will be there. You have an increase in value because they'll be as how you saw them after 10 years, after 15 years. So our properties have that unique estate management services. They have the structural integrity and they are ready to move in.
I love the colors you use. So the patterns, blue are blue, green are green. But you made mention of the fact that they are ready to live in. So you basically make a payment and you can go in. I know you have is it a 20% deposit?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so we have a policy whereby you make a 20%, as low as 20% down payment, and then you spread the rest across 1, 2, 3 years. We can even do 5 years without interest.
Without interest?
Yes, please.
You can spread it up to about 5 years.
Without interest.
Once you pay your 20%, then on a rolling basis,
yes, please.
You make payments.
Yes, please.
Wow. That's interesting. Yes. That's very interesting. Anyway, so let me come back to you, Evelyn. What else makes your product stand out? Has she exhausted everything? The last time I interacted with some of your colleagues, I think they were speaking about your new facility and security, swimming pools and others. Tell us a bit more about what people can expect.
The location where we are situated is one thing that makes it stand out. We are in the heart of Accra.
Right.
Connecting from us to Tema, it's easy.
Central
Connecting
position.
From us to the airport, it's easy. Connecting from us to all the shopping malls around. We have beautiful schools around. We have beach around. We have a lot of amenities around. And within the community, we have a swimming pool, we have police station, we have fire service, we have shopping malls, and we have good roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How affordable are your outfits comparatively?
As low as $84,000.
As low as $84,000.
You can get a 2-bedroom apartment from us.
Wow. 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 So in terms of these bits you mentioned about the fire service and all of that, do they already have their posts there? Or is there a plan to get them on board?
It's a plan. We have 56 acres of land we are trying to develop.
Okay.
So in the first phase, we have the Le Jardin Symphonique. So after Le Jardin Symphonique, we are on the Alphabet City, and we are about to start with Willow Lanes. So we have a couple of properties, communities we try to put together to create a very beautiful community. And so after the whole project, we'll make sure we put in place those things for the security of individuals.
So gradually, you're going to ensure that this becomes a city on its own, a city within a city.
Yes.
Okay. Now, apart from all of what you've told us, you have other amazing, offers going on. Do you have any discounts you're offering, for example, Linda? Tell us a bit about that.
So we have from 3 to 11% discounts we are offering. depending on the payment plan you would choose.
Break it down for us. So who would get 3%? Who would get 11%, for example?
Okay, so if you're looking to do an outright payment, you would enjoy 11% discount off. So let's say you come and then you're looking to get a 2-bedroom and then it's going for 94,000 USD. We are looking to slash down 10,000 from it and give it to you at 84,000.
What? You know, we joke. If you have some $94,000 sitting somewhere, Charlie, I think you should head to Waylead Properties and grab it. So 94,000, about 10,000 shaved off. So you'd be paying about 84,000.
Yes, please.
That's exciting.
Yes.
That's exciting. And, you know, there's this new thing now where people purchase these properties and it's an investment. They don't even move in there. They use it for Airbnb and other things. You're getting a lot of these people coming up, you know, aboard, aren't you?
Yeah, we have. So most of our clients are not based in Ghana. And
I
some
see.
of them are in Ghana, but they have their own houses already. So they buy these properties and leave it under our care. So
you manage these properties as well?
We manage and rent it out for them. They are just in their comfort zone, enjoying the benefits from us. So we rent it, and the rental is between $1,500 to $2,000.
Wow.
So it yields a lot of returns. So you're buying a property from us at $84,000. At the end of, or within 10 years, you can recoup your $84,000. It's a good investment to think about.
And I hear it's not just individuals. There are corporate groups. In fact, some boys can come together, 3, 4, 5 boys, pool their resources, go and get one of these and rent them out. So you take care of all of that as well.
So you mentioned about Airbnb. So we are looking to rent for a day between $40 to $100.
Wow.
Yes, please. So it's a very good investment option.
So let's talk about any contact lines. Maybe if you have anything else to add before we talk about how people can reach you. Linda, anything else to add? Okay. And maybe we should talk about when people can come and visit.
Okay.
For example, what are the plans? How do you arrange that? Okay. If someone wants to come and see your properties.
So if you want to come to site, you can contact us on 0240-111-119. And then you book an appointment with any of our salespeople. And then you come to site. We are available on site 24/7. We are available on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 o'clock. We are available on site Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on Sunday too, we are available, and Saturday too, we are available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Yes.
All right. And those numbers she's mentioned are on your screen now. So you can get those numbers. Do you have a website?
Yes.
What's is it Waylead GH, something like that?
www.wayleadgh.com.
Wayleadgh.com. Okay. So that's how you can reach them. Any final words for you, Evelyn?
Yes. I just want people in Ghana to feel the amazing things we are doing in the community. All our drains are covered. All our electrical wires are buried under. So when you are in this community, you have the chance to enjoy the amazing feelings. So that's all I have. And we are urging them to come and visit us.
All right. I see Linda has something else to add.
I'd also want to go over our numbers again. So 0240-111-119 and 050-449-999. You can reach out to our social media platforms as well. So it's at Waylead GH on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and on Facebook, it's Waylead Ghana. You can come to site during this Easter period. We have some amazing special packages we are giving to our site visitors during this period.
Evelyn and Linda. Linda, I loved the way you said Twitter at the end. Anyway, Linda and Cancer AP, property sales consultant, Waylead Properties. We also have Evelyn Amegai, who is also a property sales consultant at Waylead Properties. Thank you so much for coming.
Expecting to see you there.
We'll be there. We'll be large and in charge. Just stay with us. We're taking a bit of a breather. We'll return on the AM show. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show, and a brother must get a sip of water, which I'll be doing shortly. But we all know water is life. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle you purchase on the market actually refreshes you better. And guess what? We have the perfect sizes for all purposes. So if the kids are going to school, you can pack those 330 milliliter bottles into their bags or backpacks. You can get 500 milliliters or 750 if you're a heavy drinker. And for those who always want more, 1.5 liters, like me, I go for those ones. But there's more. If you're in your office or home and you want something bigger, we have 19-liter jar bottles, ideal for homes and offices. So all you must do now is stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water. Choose a bottle of Awake Purified Drinking Water today and get quality hydration. It's another one for life, and this is what I mean. For every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. And that is indeed heartwarming. There are so many of our brothers and sisters with heart conditions who can't afford it. Awake is making it possible for them to receive health care. Now, it's another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. If you want to purchase in bulk, this is the number to call: 0262 351 251. 0262 351 251. Do remember, this advert is FDA approved. We hope this morning that you've enjoyed our conversations. We've spoken about the nominees or those who are at the Electoral Commission on the party political front. We spoke about the primaries of both the MPP and the NDC. We had that interaction as well on rent issues. And for those of you who have further comments, you know the numbers to call. We made them available to you. We're grateful that you chose us this morning. Tomorrow, let's meet Benjamin together with Bernice on the AM show. Ghana 4, top of the morning to you. Stay tuned for Joy News Desk up next.